Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be live streaming for the next 2 hours, talking all things fantasy football. Of course, the entire episode is basically questions and answers. If you guys got a question regarding your Week 12 lineups, be sure to go ahead and type it in the chat. Specifically, be sure to mention your scoring format, whether you do play in a standard, half PPR, full PPR league, and let's get into it. Again, there's been a couple pieces of information over the course of the last 24 hours since we last streamed in regards to a couple players. We know for a fact now that Leonard Fournette has been ruled out. That continues to, give us more credence to starting Rachaad White as one of our starting backs going into Week 12, especially in such a great matchup against the Cleveland Browns. We've also gotten more information regarding guys like Jaylen Warren. They're going to be out. Jamar Chase, according to Schultz of the NFL Network, I believe is going to be out. So this continues to bring up the value of guys like T. Higgins. Of course, we'll see more targets go in his direction, more fantasy value effectively. Either way, hope you guys could do me a favor. Click the like button down below, and let's get into answering some questions, shall we? I'm hopping right into it. Let's go ahead and pop up the YouTube chat on screen. And let's start answering questions, shall we? All right, here. Let's see here. Let's start from the top. Just whoever just got the lucky top question. Okay, Anvesh, what's up? Says, hey Andrew, whom to play at the flex position? We have a half PPR scoring format. We have Devonta Smith. We have Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So of those three options, the one that I feel most comfortable playing as of this moment is Devonta Smith. Moving on to your next question. Also, I've got DPJ and Paris Campbell on waivers. Are they worth adding in place of Damian Harris or Gus Edwards? I believe it's worth adding instead of Damian Harris, only if you believe you're going to need the wide receiver depth. I mean, at this moment, I'm trying to think of the teams that you have. You have Jets, you have Titans, you have Eagles. Do any of those teams have a specific bye week upcoming here that could end up making DPJ and Campbell pick up? Because I know Damian Harris, after Thursday night's game, was seen with a boot in the locker room. So he's got some sort of foot injury there. So I wouldn't mind potentially dropping, Damian Harris for DPJ. And the potential at which, Deshaun Watson presents to the team. As for your final question, Christian McCaffrey, Walker, Swift are my best running back. Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, yeah, I don't think you need Harris. I don't think you'll start him going forward. Anyone keeping up with, I don't even know what WC is. Let me see here. Full PPR, Rachaad White, Gus Edwards, Michael Carter. And low. Rachaad White is my suggestion. The second best option out of these three would be then Michael Carter. Let's see here. Mark's a good lad. Let's see here. What the heck is this? What is this update? Lamar Jackson. Okay, no, doesn't matter. That's about his taunting fine. I'm counting on Jeff. Already had Josh Allen and Dalton Schultz abusing me. Yeah, that's rough. Hopefully Jeff Wilson goes off. I mean, that's the expectation. Limited, if not completely out Raheem Mostert. Against the best matchup of the running back position, Jeff Wilson is an automatic play there, so you're good to go. Do I trade Kamara and Evans for Kelsey? No. Unless you're playing in a 4-team league, Bryce, or an 8-team league where you have in a complete, legitimately a full all-star roster where you have guys that are better than Kamara and Evans at both positions, and you will not miss Kamara and Evans. That's the only reason I'd ever be willing to part ways with those two levels of players for a Kelsey. Pirine or Murray in a full PPR this week. In a full PPR, I'd rather play Latavius Murray this week. As much as I like the potential at which Samaje Pirine presents on a weekly basis, this week it's really difficult to trust him, specifically because of the Titans matchup. I mean, the Titans defense, like I've talked about all week long, are the best team in terms of stopping the run. In the last 5 weeks, they've only allowed 4.44 fantasy points per week on rushing statistics alone. So let's say, for example, Samaje Perine does exactly that. He goes for 44 rushing yards. He would have to have majority of his workload all in receptions. And I understand, last time we saw him out there, he caught 3 touchdowns. We know how rare that is. It is extremely rare. And let's say he catches 1 touchdown, 5 catches, 35 yards. He makes his whole week in a full PPR, right? You have yourself an 18-point running back, but that touchdown, the elusiveness of said touchdown, that's the difficult metric that we're trying to figure out and try to predict. Let's see here. Otherwise, if he doesn't score that touchdown, he's a 10-point player, right? That's the only difference maker. So you're going to get 10 points out of him in a full PPR. It's just a matter of, can you find the upside within the player itself? Full PPR, Rachaad White or George Pickens? Yeah, I'm going to go with Rachaad White here. George Pickens is great. I think of all the weeks to potentially jump on the George Pickens bandwagon and 100% start him, this may be one of the tougher ones to do so, Kevin, mainly because of the matchup. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, Isaiah Rodgers, they are two of the best in terms of man coverage. They really don't give up much on a weekly basis. I understand Stephon Gilmore will most likely be on the side of Deontay Johnson, shutting him down for another consecutive week here. But even Isaiah Rodgers as the number 2 corner of this offense is pretty good. He'll be able to give Pickens a little bit of trouble there. Olave, Pittman, or Hollywood in a half PPR scoring format. As of right now, Gordon, I'm leaning towards Olave. Michael Pittman Jr. certainly has the potential of getting himself another one of these 7 catches, 75-yard weeks. Hollywood Brown probably in that same capacity. It's just a matter of who has the highest upside in those overall opportunities. I know that these guys will probably see more targets than Olave. I'm just assuming that Olave probably has a little bit. What is this? Dude, why are all these like reports dropping right now and all these players being fined? I'm getting like notifications and I'm like spazzing out because I'm thinking it's actual news. So yeah, at this point, I'm just gonna roll with Olave there. Allen Robinson or Demarcus Robinson? Good question. I would most like, considering Bryce Perkins is probably going to be the starting quarterback for the Rams, I'd rather play Demarcus Robinson, assuming he's healthy, of course, because I know he's been dealing with a little bit of an injury this week. Okay, so let's see here. Black Ops says, should I start Pickens, Mooney, or DJ Moore? It would be Pickens. Even with how difficult I mentioned the matchup being, these are worse. DJ Moore versus Patrick Surtain, and then with Sam Darnold at quarterback, and then you also have Darnell Mooney potentially with Trevor Siemian against Sauce Gardner. These are worse matchups. We'll play Pickens this week here, Black Ops. Pierre says PPR start Jones, White, Pirine. In a full PPR, I'm probably still playing White here. I have White and Jones back-to-back in my rankings. So Rachaad White is just ahead of him, but they're in the same realm of conversation. Traded Najee Harris after week 1 for Michael Thomas and Christian Kirk, currently in 3rd place right now. Yeah, I mean, look, Armand, the trade that you made, as much as we thought Michael Thomas was probably going to be the main reason why you make that trade, Christian Kirk ended up being the guy, huh? That is you benefited an incredible amount off of that trade based on what we saw from Najee Harris for the first 11 weeks thus far. Anthony Link says half PPR, Miami's defense or the Jets this week. The Jets would play if Trevor Siemian is the starting quarterback. If not, then the Miami Dolphins would get the start against Kyle Allen. So I guess it's a matter of determining by tomorrow morning, seeing if Justin Fields is active in that game. Okay, so let's see here. Howdy, Andrew. Wilson, Walker, or Chubb Jacobs in a PPR? Are we talking about like rest of season? Which group would I rather have? Jeff Wilson Jr. or Kenneth Walker, Chubb or Jacobs? If I'm picking 2 of these players rest of season, I'm probably leaning towards, look, I like Walker more than I like Jacobs. And I probably like Chubb more than I like Wilson. So we're kind of in a middle kind of sector where at this point I would lean towards these 2 because as much as I like Jeff Wilson this week specifically, Raheem Mostert's not always going to be inactive. So I'd probably go with the Chubb Jacobs side of this conversation. What's up, Anonymous? How's it going? Ibrahim says, pick one, Andrew. Jets defense with Fields out. If Fields is out, or the Chiefs. At this moment, I would be comfortable just rolling the Chiefs regardless of whether or not we know the conversation regarding Justin Fields. Thank you. Okay, so let me go ahead. I know there was a couple donations that were sent in. Just want to address those questions really quickly. Do appreciate you guys sending those in. Again, don't feel obligated to do so. It supports the channel, but quite frankly, I'll answer your question regardless. I'm just here to help as much as I possibly can. Sun AAA sends in a question, says, half PPR, Josh Palmer, George Pickens, Christian Watson. Thank you very much for your question. Okay, so here's the thought process that I currently have. In a half PPR scoring format, we have to rely upon upside of yardage and or touchdown because the receptions are not going to be able to just meet us in the middle and help us out just getting over that kind of 10-point fantasy line. So at the current moment, if I have to pick one of these 3, I think I'm just rolling with Christian Watson. Now, let's say, for example, you don't believe in the the hot hand theory that I'm kind of rolling with in terms of Christian Watson, because quite frankly, I don't want to leave him on my bench and get burnt for another 16-point game here. So if I'm in your position, I probably play Christian Watson. Otherwise, I think the next best play out of the group is probably Joshua Palmer going up against the Cardinals. With Mike Williams out once again, he probably continues to see a high volume of targets within the offense. With Keenan Allen back, this offense will continue to move the chains. They'll have more opportunities of scoring, which will obviously give Josh Palmer potential more, red zone opportunity in comparison to what he's had earlier this season. So for right now, I'm leaning towards Watson. The next option will be Palmer, then Pickens last. Thank you. Michael Barton says I have 2 questions for you today. 12-team PPR. Jacobs is questionable. Possible re-injury if playing. Okay. Should I start Pacheco? I already have Etienne and Jeff Wilson playing. Campbell or Pacheco in the flex. Okay. In a full PPR scoring format, I would rather play Campbell over Pacheco, quite frankly, because I do believe Campbell, with 6 catches for 50-some-odd yards, outscores Pacheco this week. Pacheco probably goes for another 100-yard rushing game. As to whether he scores is probably unlikely. So at this moment, I'm leaning in the direction of probably playing Campbell over him. That being said, if Josh Jacobs is active, I would like to have him on roster and playing. We know how much utilization he gets within this offense, and even if he gets a limited sort of day to where he maybe gets like 15 rushing attempts in comparison to the 21, 23 that he gets in some of these contests, he's still going to get himself a couple receptions here and there. Will be a pretty good option in my mind. Again, that's mainly because he's one of their primary red zone threats. When they get down there, they'll score. If you're too worried about it, again, the next best option in my mind would be Campbell in a full PPR there. Thank you. Bald God says Christian Watson, Cordero Patterson, and George Pickens, along with Curtis Samuel, flex full PPR. If I'm picking one out of the group in a full PPR scoring format, I mean, I can't trust Cordero Patterson at the moment in a full PPR. Doesn't catch as many passes. Curtis Samuel doesn't get enough targets. The only reason he's been relevant in the last 2 weeks, one was a rushing touchdown, which is great. And then the other was the safety getting completely tackled by the referee and him scoring a 60-yard receiving touchdown. So if I'm picking one out of the group, it's Christian Watson, then George Pickens second there. Thank you. Clayton Poirier says half PPR, start 2. Flex Watson, Landry, Allen Robinson, and or Foreman. Also, okay, so let's figure out this first question. If it's a half PPR and I'm picking out of this group, Foreman or Watson, because that's purely what my decision making comes down to. I don't really trust Allen Robinson with a backup quarterback, and Jarvis Landry, again, target share is not high enough for me to trust it in a matchup in which, yes, I expect him to play well, but I don't expect him to get an automatic touchdown similar to the way that he produced last week. I think I'm probably leaning towards Foreman there. I'll take the overall touches of Foreman and the potential of his goal line work. Yeah, I'll go Foreman there. Follow-up question is Keenan Allen or DK Metcalf? I'll take Keenan Allen there in a half PPR. Thank you. Ozzy Reyna says, standard league, Moreau or Dulcich? Give me, I almost said Greg Dulcich. No, give me Foster Moreau. Higher ranked as of this week. Thank you. Dave Ports 1 says, got to fill 2 wide receivers in 1 flex. We have Olave, we have Amari Cooper, we have Sutton, Hollywood, Latavius Murray, and Foreman in a full PPR league. Okay. So if we're starting 2 wide receivers in a flex, the flex in my mind is Latavius Murray without a doubt. And then the 2 wide receivers at this point are going to be Olave. And depending on how that weather looks tomorrow for the Cleveland game, it could be Amari Cooper. Otherwise, you pivot to Sutton. Thank you. Let's see here. Anthony Cervantes says, pick 1, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Godwin, Rachaad White. I'll take Rachaad White. Probably, I wanted to say regardless of scoring format, but even in a full PPR, I might consider Keenan Allen over him, but just depends on what kind of a day we can see from Keenan Allen. But for right now, yes, it's Rachaad White. Carlton Collins says, Mike Evans or Rachaad White. I'll take Rachaad White this week. Brandon says full PPR, pick 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, Pickens, Pittman, Watson, Hollywood, Kieran Williams, Gus Edwards, Drake. Okay, so of the group, I'll take Pittman. I'll also play Watson. And in the flex will then be Pickens. Pittman, Pickens, Watson. Tight end, a roll with Komet. Thank you. All right. Now that I've caught up, I know that Troy sent in a question. There wasn't anything attached to it, so let me see your Troy. Let me go to the very bottom of this list. Where art thou, Troy? No Troy? Here we are, Troy. Half PPR. 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 flex. We have Pittman, Debo, Jacobs, Kamara, P. Ryan, Sutton, DJ Moore, Palmer. Okay, so you just got a bunch of players here. So if I'm starting two, okay, so your automatic running back play in my mind is rolling with Jacobs, assuming he's even active tomorrow. Then Kamara is your flex. And then if we're playing two wide receivers, again, this is an assumption as to whether or not the health of Debo is there. If it's there, we're playing him with Pittman. Otherwise, you're going to pivot from Debo to Palmer. Thank you. All right, let's go to the bottom here. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, Anthony says, full PPR, Paris Campbell or Hollywood Brown. At this moment, if Hollywood is active, I'd play him over Paris Campbell. I would. Mainly because we know for a fact that there is no Rondell Moore. Obviously, there's no Zach Ertz as he's done with his season-ending injury. And we know that there's a potential in which Greg Dortch is not even active. So if that's going to be the case, there's a lot of upside in the regard of DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown getting a safe amount of targets. Again, it's a tough matchup against the LA Chargers secondary. That's pretty much where their defense is best at in terms of stopping opposing wide receivers in comparison to stopping the run. But yes, I would still play Hollywood over Paris Campbell this week. Thank you. Who do you flex in the full PPR? Connor, Boyd, or Rachaad White? I would flex Rachaad White. I don't really trust Boyd. You know what's funny? The last couple weeks without Jamar Chase in the lineup as an active participant, Boyd really hasn't seen enough of a target volume to convince me that he's playable without Chase in the lineup. I think when, in fact, Chase is in the lineup and defenses have to obviously focus on the number 1 and 2 options. When you have to focus on Mixon, Higgins, and Chase, it opens up work for Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd to be open down the seam. But in comparison, as of right now, as of late, I'd rather just play Rachaad White out of the group. Connor's probably the next best option for sure there, but White takes the cake in my opinion. Start 2, Olave, Kirk, Latavius Murray in a full PPR. I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Out of those 3, right, Christian Kirk is the for sure start. It's just a matter of whether I expect Latavius Murray to outscore Chris Olave. Chris Olave, if he scores a touchdown, outscores Latavius Murray. If he doesn't, Latavius Murray takes the deal there. So at this current moment, I'm probably leaning towards Latavius Murray because I know based off last week's performance of Denver Broncos running backs, I mean, we saw them get 9 targets, 9 catches, Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray as a combination. Then we're now in a conversation where there's no more Melvin Gordon, there's no more Chase Edmonds, and it's just Latavius Murray with Marlon Mack as the backup. So Latavius Murray probably plays a wide majority of snaps, gets all the carries, gets all the receptions, and all the goal line attempts. So if anything, I'm leaning towards Latavius being slightly more valued in my mind. Half PPR, Josh Jake. Wait, where did that question go? Did it really update to the bottom? Yo, come on, man. I lost the question. Is Tony droppable? Potentially. Again, if this hamstring injury is going to continue to plague him, I think it's fair to say that he could be droppable in some circumstances. Not all of them, though. So I don't want to make a blanket statement saying that you can drop him no matter what. But again, if you have enough wide receiver depth, if you're not going to need him in the upcoming weeks here, could potentially work. So let's just scroll up here. Let's scroll up a little bit here. Okay, so Daniel says Pacheco or DPJ. Depends on scoring format. If we're talking about a full PPR, I'm probably playing Pacheco in all formats. Now that I'm thinking about it, the issue that I have with DPJ this week is that the weather concerns in Cleveland are pretty rough. Like I've seen in seasons past, Cleveland weather, late November, early December is awful. Like you could really get a game in which you cannot pass the ball. I've seen it. I remember a couple years back, maybe it was 2020. It was a game in which the Raiders took on the Browns. It was a weather game, and no one could literally throw the ball at all. Like not even a little bit. So I'm not 100% certain as to how bad the weather concerns are as of tomorrow morning. I'm going to need one of you guys, whoever lives in Ohio or and is going to pull up to Cleveland for me. Tell me how bad the weather is by the time we get there tomorrow morning, because as of right now, I'm leaning towards the idea of just playing Pacheco and getting the safe 10 points there. TF says Monty, Rachaad White, Pirine in a flex full PPR. I'd still play Rachaad White here. Next man up in a full PPR would be Pirine, and then it would be Monty third. Because I'm assuming at this point, there's a chance that Justin Fields does not play. Who would you like for a flex full PPR? Connor Boyd. Okay, we already did that one. Let's see your half PPR. Who should I flex? Keenan Allen or Samaje Perine? Or we go with Hollywood Brown. I think it's probably safest out of the group to just roll with Keenan Allen. Byron Murphy, the slot cornerback, the nickel corner for The Arizona Cardinals is not going to be playing this week. He's inactive. That just opens up more potential for Keenan Allen to take advantage of every route that he runs. Pack says, do I start Tyler Higbee? I mean, if you don't have any other tight end options, I suppose that's probably your best option, right? If you're asking just in general, is he a startable option? I think he's a top 16 tight end, probably top 14 maybe in some circumstances here. Rice Up says, full PPR. Start 2, sit 1. We have Dameon Pierce, Montgomery, Kamara. So I'm leaning towards the idea of going Pierce and Kamara as your starts. The only reason I would change this is if, in fact, Fields plays, I'd play Montgomery over Pierce. That would be it. FR says, full PPR, Connor. Okay, we already did that one. Sean says, choose 3, Andrew. Amari Cooper, Rashad White, Alvin Kamara. Okay, as of this moment, it's these 3. Mainly because, again, this weather concern in the Cleveland game for Amari Cooper, if they don't pass as much because they literally can't, because, we got 15-mile-per-hour winds and it's a monsoon, I'd rather just play the 3 running backs and get all the touches that I possibly can in that regard. Thank you. Cordero or Foreman in a full PPR? I'm going Dante Foreman. Yeah, I'll go with Foreman there. I need one in a full PPR. Akers, Matt Collins, or Corey Davis. In a non-PPR scoring format, I'd go with Matt Collins there. I go with Matt Collins against the Seattle Seahawks. Thank you. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so half PPR, I'm probably still going to roll with Pacheco just because these weather concerns are a little bit rough. Good afternoon, Donald. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. With Hollywood back, do I start Murray or Jimmy G? I think I'm still playing Jimmy G. I think as much of potential upside Murray has, I'm thinking that Murray doesn't run. I'm thinking he doesn't get his legs involved coming off the hamstring injury. I'm thinking he's going to sit, like he typically does, in the pocket. Now, Murray in seasons past, that was a maniac running the ball. That was the Murray we want. But now he's secured the bag and he doesn't care to get hurt at all. So he doesn't want to run. He's not going to scramble. He's not going to run around like, Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields would in a given week, even Daniel Jones. So at this moment, yeah, I'd rather play Jimmy G. He's had himself 6 consecutive games of 15 or more fantasy points. And of course, like last week, he's shown his upside. So definitely going to look in that direction this week. Metcalf or Rashad White? I'll take Rashad White there in a half PPR. Do I start Cooper or Kamara? Give me Kamara there. If Jacobs is out, I move Jeff Wilson Jr. to RB. So this is what I'll tell you first and foremost. Kylix, I would play Jeff Wilson Jr. ahead of Jacobs just outright already. I have Jeff Wilson Jr. in the top 5 of my running back rankings for tomorrow morning. So at this moment, I'm 100% confident in the idea that you don't even have to risk the play of Jacobs, regardless of whether he's active. You just play Jeff Wilson there. So as for pick 2.5 PPR of, let's say, for example, it's Jacobs along with these potential options. In a half PPR scoring format, sure, I'd like to still play Jacobs there. Again, assuming, let's say he's out, hypothetically here. The available options, I would then roll with playing Olave and Christian Watson there. Thank you. Who do I start? Great question. Fantastic. Probably the best question of the day. Najee Harris or Kamara? I'll take Najee here this week. Olave, Kirk, and Latavius Murray in a PPR. At this point, I'd play Christian Kirk and then Latavius Murray. Miles Sanders or Deebo Samuel, flex standard. Miles Sanders. Deebo's dealing with the hamstring. May get a little bit less, utilization. Fabian says, yo, appreciate the knowledge. I appreciate that, Fabian. Thank you. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me bring down the chat for just a moment before we get back into it. Got to answer a couple questions that were sent in via donation really quickly. Just want to address these. So after Carlton, we did that. Okay, so after Brandon's question, which we took care of, we go with RR. RR says full PPR, flex, Latavius or Lockett. I'm probably going to lean towards the idea of playing Latavius there. Thank you. Jesse Guevara says Amari Cooper, Olave, DJ Moore, full PPR. I'll take Olave there. Until further notice, until we get a full indication as to how bad the weather is there in terms of mile-per-hour winds, precipitation, all that kind of jazz. If it's raining hard, then I'm just not going to be interested in playing Amari Cooper in that regard, so I'd go Olave. J-Max says, choose 2 wide receivers in a singular flex. I got Waddle, Lockett, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Ayuk, Rashad White, P. Ryan. Got too many options. Yeah, you do have too many options. This is one of those scenarios, right, J-Mac, where you have so many good options that regardless of what decision you make, you probably make the worst decision because there's so much opportunity for players that you don't start to go off. But, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse in some circumstances. So let's see here. As of your current options, I think Waddle's the automatic lock at wide receiver. I think Rachaad White is the automatic lock at flex. So if we're just filling another wide receiver spot in this regard, I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett there. Thank you, J-Mac. Appreciate it. Randon Martinez says, full PPR, flex, Godwin, Pittman, Pirine. In a full PPR, under the assumption that Godwin has terrible weather concerns, at that point, I'd just play Pittman. I'm fairly certain that Pittman can come down with another 6-7 catches, 70-plus yard game, get himself like 14, 15 fantasy points in a full PPR format without even scoring a touchdown there. So that's what I'm leaning towards. Thank you. Matt sends in a question. Says flex in a full PPR, Jeff Wilson or Rachaad White or Chris Olave. I'll take Jeff Wilson there. Thank you. G Medina says help. I have Walker as my RB1, Dalvin Cook as my RB2, and A.J. Brown as wide receiver 1, Ayuk as wide receiver 2. Flex options currently are Palmer, Watson, Sutton, Montgomery, Pirine. Full PPR, thank you. All right, at this moment in a full PPR scoring format, I'd rather play probably Josh Palmer there. I think it's just safer to roll with him. Even if he doesn't score a touchdown, most likely in line for 6 catches, 70 yards, 7 catches, maybe more if we're lucky. Otherwise, worst case scenario, 5 catches, 80 yards, 13 points. I think in comparison to Watson, if Watson doesn't score a touchdown, we're in really big trouble there. So considering the performance that you already had from Dalvin Cook, and it being relatively underwhelming considering the matchup itself, I'd probably lean towards just the safety of Ayuk. Now, if you're looking for upside, it's obvious. I mean, not Ayuk, sorry. The safety, because you already have Ayuk as a wide receiver too. Safety of Palmer. And if in fact you're like, hey, I just need total upside, the guy's already projected to beat me by 30, then you play Christian Watson and we cross our fingers and hope for a monster performance there. Wilson sends in a question, says pick 2, Ayuk, Damian Pierce, Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Olave. If I'm picking 2, under the assumption that it's some sort of, if it's a half PPR scoring format that we're talking about here, Wilson, I'm most likely leaning towards the idea of just playing Christian Watson with Ayuk. If it's not into full PPR, at that point, I just play Ayuk with Keenan Allen. Thank you. All right, so we caught up there. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the chat once again. Let me go ahead and update the chat. Boom, done, perfect. If the weather, okay, let's see here. Okay, let me actually pop the chat back up on screen. Okay, so Millie was saying, what are we saying? Let me see this. Millie says, if the weather is too bad in Cleveland, who do I start at wide receiver, A-Rob or Elijah Moore? So assuming that we're not going to start Chris Godwin and or Evans, right? Or like Amari Cooper, something of that extent, right? At that point, let's say, for example, the weather is quite literally unrelenting, and we can't even consider snapping the ball in a shotgun snap because it's going to slip. Then at that point, you just play Elijah Moore in my mind. Flex Cordero Patterson or Amari Cooper. I don't like either of them, but if I have to pick one truthfully, and the weather, I mean, again, the weather is something that we're going to have to determine. I think by tomorrow morning, what I'll probably do, guys, from here on out, just a fair warning. Again, for those of you who are joining us, thank you for joining us. We're going to be here for the next hour and a half answering fantasy football related questions. If in fact you guys have an Amari Cooper related question, I'll probably just ignore the idea that Amari Cooper is even in that question until tomorrow. Because quite frankly, I'm just going to pivot away from him every single time that I have a chance to do so. Because I have no clue how bad that weather is. I mean, when I look at the reports as of online as to what the heck weather is going to be in Cleveland tomorrow, the current situation says 70% chance of rain, 12 mile per hour winds. So there's a chance it doesn't rain and that wind is the only issue, right? Which would be fine. I'm okay with playing that. But I'm not, there's not a 100% confirmation on the factor. So I can't objectively give you guys a definitive statement as to whether or not you should or should not be playing him. So I'll probably start ignoring them from here on out. Just because, again, I'm probably pivoting. Jeff Wilson over ETN? Yes, Chaos. I would play Jeff Wilson over ETN very confidently, in fact. Would you take Treylon Burks or George Pickens rest of the season? Rest of the season, I'd rather have George Pickens. Everett or Komet? And by the way, the reason why I'd rather have George Pickens is because at this moment and for the remainder of the season, George Pickens will continue to see number 2 wide receiver coverage. Every single team that the Steelers play against, Deontay Johnson pulls number 1 coverage. So henceforth, if we get into a situation where Treylon Burks begins to pull number 1 coverage instead of Robert Woods, Nick Ikine Westbrook, it's going to be a pretty tough, season for him in some of those upcoming matchups. So I'd rather just play George Pickens there. Someone said Everett or Komet. I don't know where that question went. Where was it? It's gone now at this point. I'm going Everett over Komet this week. Thank you. Do I start Lamar, Tua, or Burrow? I'll take Burrow this week out of the bunch. And then Tua, and then Lamar in that order, Rage Rod. Hey, Andrew, I appreciate everything. Okay, thank you very much, Cam. I have one wide receiver left. Okay, 2 running backs, two flex. PPR roster, I have Mike Evans, Lockett, Christian Watson, Rashad White, Pierce, Jeff Wilson, and Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor and Jeff Wilson are your starting running backs. Your singular first flex is Rashad White. Your second flex would be Tyler Lockett. And then your wide receiver would be Christian Watson, under the assumption that weather is too much for Mike Evans to do anything. Let's see here. Let me go ahead. I just want to see some questions that I haven't answered. I'd play Jawan Johnson over Komet. The only reason I'd ever do the opposite is if, in fact, for a fact, that we have Justin Fields playing. Samaje or Devonta Smith in a full PPR, I'd probably just go with Devonta there. White or ETN in the flex, full PPR, I'll take White there. I traded Cooper Kupp for Goddard and Marquise Brown. Did I win? Time will tell. Time will tell. I would assume that, yes, you did win because, again, we don't expect Cooper Kupp to return to the lineup until, assuming he does even play for the remainder of the season, until week 16. So if, in fact, you can get to week 16 and you're fine because of the services of Goddard and Marquise Brown helping you get there, then you're fine. And it's a win because, again, they helped you get there. In comparison to Cooper Kupp, who just would have sat on your bench gathering dust. Lockett or Palmer, I'll take Lockett there. Either this or next week, Evans is going to go off. I'm telling you. Listen, you don't got to tell me. You don't have to tell me. I'm the number one Evans fan probably in this chat. I'm telling you, man. I even said it on Wednesday's episode. This is the longest streak of games that Evans has ever gone in his entire career without scoring a touchdown. Something has to give. That's literally my straight quote. And he's eventually going to score a touchdown. Now, the hope was that it was going to be this week. But again, if weather's a problem, then, it could be a little bit less participation in that, receiving category from him if, in fact, they're not throwing the ball as much. PPR, do I trade Christian McCaffrey for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jonathan Taylor? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Just traded Hawkinson and Pittman Jr. for Andrews. I'm okay with that. That's fine by me. No problem there. I think Hawkinson's a great play, but I think the significant upgrade here, assuming that Pittman isn't like a pivotal part of your offense or you're specifically weekly starting, I think you're fine there. Okay, so we did that. Okay, Rashad White, Kamara, Watson, flex 1, slot wide receiver. So if it's okay, so of these 3, right, first and foremost, I'm playing Rashad White. If you have another option to potentially play, then it would be Kamara. But otherwise, yeah, I'm going Rashad White here. Desperation start, question mark. Corey Davis, Nico Collins, or Greg Dortch. Greg Dortch is questionable to play. I don't even know if he ends up playing. So at this point, in the current situation that you're in, I would be more inclined to play Nico Collins than any of these other options there, Jordan. Luis Pena says, hi, Andrew. Full PPR. Start 3. We have Olave, Connor, Pittman, White, Lazard. Okay, so White, Connor, Olave. Those are the 3. You know what? Let me think about it. Yeah, I'm probably going there. I have Waddle as my wide receiver 1. I need a wide receiver 2. And yeah, that's probably what I do. I go with Olave as your wide receiver 2, and I go Connor and White as your 2 potential flex options there. Long time watcher. ... PPR. Start 1, Juju, Godwin, or Tyler Lockett. I will probably opt towards, again, pivoting away from Tampa Bay and Cleveland options as of this moment. So if I'm starting either Juju or Tyler Lockett, I'll just take Tyler Lockett there. I think there's just a little bit more safety in that, in the play itself. Because as much as I like Juju and how well he was playing prior to the concussion, I think there's always a conversation to be had in regards to Kansas City Chiefs pieces outside of Travis Kelce having inconsistency because of how many options that that Patrick Mahomes is willing to target. He does not discriminate against any of his targets. He will send anyone the ball at any given time, as long as they're ready to catch it. So even if they're not ready to catch it, he's sending it in their direction, and it'll be in their breadbasket. So I'm just going to lean towards Lockett there. Thank you. P. Ryan or Miles Sanders in a half PPR? I'll take Miles Sanders there this week. Do we play Chase or Ayuk? The assumption based on the reports that I've read is that he's not playing. Earlier yesterday, he was quoted to have been a game time decision. That was the NFL Network's report. As of this morning, they said that he's not going to play. So that could be just an insider getting a little bit of information from inside of the Bengals organization, asking around and seeing what's going on. So that's the report that I've seen, and it's from a reliable source. So we'll just go ahead and just pivot and just take Ayuk there. Samaje Perine or Tyler Boyd in the flex. I'll take Perine there. Let's see here. Hi, Andrew. Full PPR start 3 out of... Okay, we already did that question. Okay, so while we're on the topic of just getting that question repeated, let me go ahead and let me backtrack into the donation questions. Let me go ahead. Johnny Coffey sends in a question. Says, I got James Conner, Aaron Jones, and Rachaad White in the flex. Which do I go with? Great question. At this moment, I would rank them White, Jones, and Conner. Thank you, Johnny Coffey. Justin sends in a question. Says, Najee Harris or Latavius Murray. I'd go with Najee over Latavius. Follow up, Christian Kirk, Juju, or Olave. I'll take Christian Kirk there. Thank you. Healing sends in a question. Says, Olave or Keenan Allen in a full PPR. I'll take Keenan Allen in a full PPR over Olave. Thank you. Drew Soul says, Algier versus Kareem Hunt. Also, who do I dump for Odell Beckham for Odell? Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about your running back question. I would rather play Kareem Hunt over Algier this week. I do not like the Washington matchup in any sort of capacity. I, in fact, dislike that matchup more than I dislike the Tampa Bay matchup for the running backs of Cleveland. So, with that being said, then we move on to the second question of who do I dump for Odell Beckham Jr., Deontay Johnson or Brandon Cooks rest of the season. I would rather drop Deontay Johnson. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. In fact, I expect him not to score a touchdown for the remainder of the year based on what he has kind of displayed to us. Obviously, he's a talented player, but in the current configuration of this offense, he is not being utilized enough. Obviously, the last 2 consecutive weeks, 5 targets each of those games. Obviously, not a convincing enough contribution of potential opportunity there to kind of have me like, yes, just keep him. He's going to be great. No, I don't have that enthusiasm for the potential of Deontay Johnson for the remainder of the year. I think the quarterback change could help Brandon Cooks, though. So I'd keep Brandon Cooks. Thank you. What does it say? Thanks and... Wait, what is it? It says, thanks and happy birthday on a non-birthday for you. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's definitely not my birthday, but okay. We'll take that. We'll pocket that for next birthday, huh? That's that. All right. Interesting donation question, but or statement. Alicia sends in a question, says half PPR, choose one wide receiver in a singular flex. We have Amari Cooper, Juju Smith. We have Joshua Palmer. We have Paris Campbell, Christian Watson, Samaje Perine, and Antonio Gibson. Oh, okay. So Antonio Gibson actually might, in a half PPR against Atlanta. I think I'm actually intrigued with the play there. To the point where I'm actually leaning towards the idea of playing Gibson in your flex and then rolling with, because it's a half PPR, I want to play Christian Watson as your wide receiver too, or as your singular open wide receiver position. So I want to play Watson and Gibson. If I don't go Watson, the next best play at that point would just be to play Palmer, but I think I want to just play Watson because of that upside in a half PPR. Thank you. GK says, Matt Ryan or Taylor Heineke this week? I'll take Taylor Heineke. As much as I like Matt Ryan in some capacities, his inconsistency is a little bit worrisome. I think Taylor Heineke probably has a little bit of a better week than what he has shown in the last couple games, mainly because they play against Atlanta secondary, which is one of the worst in the league. Johnny Coffey had a follow-up question. Says, got to replace Chase, Sutton, or Campbell? I'd play Sutton in a half PPR. Thank you. Do sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Start 2, Paris Campbell, Boyd, or a limited Hollywood Brown. I would legitimately play Paris Campbell and Hollywood Brown over Boyd this week in a full PPR. Thank you. Lil Sweet says, full PPR. Gus Edwards or Marquise Hollywood Brown. I'll take Marquise Brown. Also, Olave, Juju, or Evans. Pick 2. Again, until we get further notice on that Cleveland game, I'm going to go with Olave and Juju there over Evans. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so a reminder. We have caught up now on those, so we can come back into the chat. Godwin or Brown? Again, until I'm always going to pivot away from the receiving options in that game to whatever else you mention, unless it's really bad. Connor or Godwin? Give me Connor. Non-PPR, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, or Sutton? Ooh, good question. In a non-PPR scoring format in specific, I'll probably go Pickens there just for the potential for the touchdown upside in that regard. How much value does Godwin have? Value in what regard? This week or rest of the season? You know what I mean? Okay, what is this? Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, Devonta Smith, Brandon Ayuk start too. It would be Tyler Lockett and Brandon Ayuk there. Jeff Johnson says Palmer, Hollywood Brown, Rashad White, Latavius Murray. Okay, so if I only have one opportunity to play one of these players, I'd like to play Rashad White out of the group. The next best option in a half PPR in my mind would be Latavius Murray. Me and my opponent are both projected 150. What kind of a league are you playing in where it's like a half PPR and you're getting projected 150? That's kind of crazy. With only one quarterback? That is those are some monster teams. They must be, at least. Heineke or Carr? I'd play Carr this week. Lazard or Donovan Peoples-Jones? Lazard. Yep. Lazard it is. Mariota or Heineke? I'd probably like to just play Mariota. I think the rushing upside that is implicated with him is probably strong enough for me to just lean in that direction. Let's see here. Lockett, Hollywood, Campbell. I'd probably just go with Lockett there at this point. Should I flex Rashad White or T. Higgins in a full PPR? Aha. The difficult questions roll in. I'd play T. Higgins there. In a full PPR, I'd play T. Higgins. Because I legitimately think, yeah, I go T. Higgins there. Unless Rashad White scores 2 touchdowns, there's no way he outscores T. Higgins in a full PPR. Or at least I don't see it happening, especially if Chase is going to be missing. So, yeah, I'll take T. Higgins there. Watson or Campbell. I think that's the first time I've actually said... That's literally the first time in the last 2 streams I've told someone not to play Rashad White this week. Just to give you some perspective on the matter as to like the comparisons that we've made for the last 2 streams here. Should I flex? Okay, so Lazard. Okay, Lockett. We already did that one. Watson or Campbell in a full PPR. Full PPR. I think Campbell probably has more stability in terms of being able to get that 10-point play. But I think I'm just going to still play Watson in this capacity. Evans, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, flex full PPR. At this point, literally, Ryan, if I had all 3 of these players on my team, I would still play Mike Evans. Even if the rain is horrible, I would still play Mike Evans. I have because I'm a Rams fan, guys, there is no capacity in which I can, there's no way I'll ever suggest to you to play Allen Robinson with a backup quarterback from the Rams. I just can't. It's not there. It's not in my heart. It's not in my brain. I can't do it. Everett or Njoku, I'll play Everett this week, Raymond. Again, guys, Gerald Everett has an incredible matchup this week, specifically playing up against the Arizona Cardinals defense. We've talked about this specifically over the course of the entire season, practically, it feels like. Ever since week 1, ever since Travis Kelce torched that defense, their defense really hasn't been able to recover in terms of being able to stop opposing tight ends. It's been one of their weakest points all season long, to the extent to where, like, if I just isolate the last couple games, Kittle 22.4 fantasy points, Higbee 11.3, Fant 12.1, Minnesota Titans combined for 11.4, New Orleans Titans combined for 24.5, Goddard 13.5. I mean, those are just since week 5. Like, there's been so many great productive weeks of double-digit fantasy points from majority of the tight ends that they've, have gone up against this defense that obviously are a part of teams that like to target their tight ends and get them heavily utilized. It's difficult not to play, Everett in that capacity this week for sure. Let's see here. Keegan had sent in a question, said, pick 2, Rashad White, P. Ryan, Olave, full PPR. I'll take Olave and Rashad White there. Kyle Singer says PPR, Montgomery, Godwin, Lockett, pick 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Lockett's number 1 in terms of the wide receiver. As for your flex, it's purely going to be determined on what the weather looks like, right? So I'm probably leaning towards Montgomery there until otherwise noted. If in fact the weather is palatable and we're in a situation where Fields is not playing, I'd then just play Godwin. Eddie James says full PPR, choose 2. We have 2 flex options. We have Pickens, Sutton, Lazard, J-Rob. Okay, of those options, I'll take Pickens and Sutton in a full PPR this week. Thank you. Which quarterback has more upside, Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson? I think Justin Herbert has more upside. Lamar Jackson just hasn't played similar to the way that he's kind of presented early on in the season. Weeks 2 and 3, Lamar was nuclear. He was on pace for setting some ridiculous numbers, and then he just has kind of fallen apart as of late. So I'll take Justin Herbert there. Anthony sends in a question, says, what scenario do we start Hollywood in? There are a couple scenarios in which we do, but he is lower ranked on my list. Like I don't think he's even in my top 20 of wide receivers. I think he's just outside of it. So there are potential plays in which I'm willing to kind of roll him over just for the potential of upside, considering there aren't as many Arizona Cardinals wide receivers available this week. So he's going to garner targets, especially when we have the idea in our mind that DeAndre Hopkins on the other side of the field most likely pulls majority of the number one coverage, if not double coverage. And if that opens up more opportunity for Marquise Hollywood Brown, even in a limited role, he still is going to get himself a pretty good volume of work there. Bun sends in a question, says ETN or White? I'm playing White this week over ETN. Again, guys, do not forget, tomorrow morning, I will be live streaming here on the channel. This will be a record for Andrew of 4 consecutive days of streaming. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be live streaming. And in fact, we'll also probably be live streaming on Monday. So that'll be 5 days in a row of live streaming, okay? So maybe then we'll keep it a streak and we'll go on Tuesday. And then we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what kind of a streak we could put together here. But as of right now, for sure, live streaming tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll have rankings on screen. So questions like ETN or White will absolutely be answered at a definitive factor by tomorrow morning. We'll have an established ranking for Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin in comparison to other wide receiver, talent for the Sunday slate of games. All of that encompassed within a singular screen of rankings. So if you guys, have a question, sure, I'm answering it now. But there's a very good chance that it could change by tomorrow, right? Because we don't have all of the information and or variables and data that we need to make some of these definitive statements. But I do appreciate you guys coming out here either way, and of course supporting the channel regardless. Okay. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button down below. That's all I need from you guys. Your viewership and clicking that like button is all I ask for. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then I want to pivot to talking about a couple potential prize pick entries, because I know someone yesterday was mentioning that, and I've got to put in a couple entries anyway this weekend. Aaron Jones or Rachaad White? I'll take Rachaad White there. Juju, Terry, or Olave, pick 2. Give me Olave and Terry McLaurin this week. Pickens or Curtis Samuel or James Robinson? I'll take Pickens this week. McLaurin, Rachaad White, or Allen? I'll take Rachaad White. In a full PPR, I could be convinced of playing McLaurin, but as of right now, I will not venture down the path there, Mike Harmon. Higgins, Christian Kirk, or Amari Cooper, pick 2. I'll take Higgins and Kirk. Akers or Algier, rough choices. Yeah, at this point, I'd rather just play Algier. Hey, Andrew, full PPR. I need a wide receiver and a flex. I have Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Alvin Kamara, James Conner. So you've got too many good pieces, and you want me to make the tough decision, huh? I'll take Jalen Waddle as your wide receiver in a full PPR. As for your flex option this week, man, in a full PPR scoring, am I looking towards playing Keenan Allen more than I am towards Alvin Kamara or James Conner? Oh goodness, man. If Alvin Kamara starts catching a bunch of passes, we could be in trouble. I think I'm leaning towards Keenan Allen, though. In a full PPR, I'll probably take Keenan Allen and Jalen Waddle there. Evan. Hollywood or Dortch? Assuming Hollywood is active. Okay, let's say, for example, they're both active, Doc. If both are active, Dortch is most likely going to play in the slot. Most likely garners a good volume of targets. No, if Hollywood is... I don't know about that one yet. I didn't even think about Greg Dortch potentially being active, because I know he had the MRI on his thumb. There's a potential that he just misses. I got to think about that one, actually. I got to think about that one. Because if Dortch is active, it certainly does affect the value and or upside of Hollywood in the given week. Who's a sneaky ad stash this week? Sneaky ad for future weeks? I mean, it depends. I mean, how many teams are in your league? Just tell me that, and I'll be able to go find you a name. How about that? Millie. McLaurin, Allen, Rachaad White. Oh, yeah, we already did that one. AJ Brown, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, full PPR. I'll probably just... full PPR, Yeah, I'm taking Aaron Jones there. Give me Aaron Jones. Christopher says, not sure if you missed... what? Not sure if I missed you answering or not, but cannot find it. What are we talking about? I don't even know what you're on about, Christopher. Palmer or Olave, full PPR. I'll take Olave there. Pickens, Garrett Wilson at my wide receiver 2. I'll take Garrett Wilson. Jamar Chase out, yeah. Jesse says, thanks, Andrew. PPR point. Okay, so let's see. Evans, assuming no rain, or Rachaad White. Assuming no rain, I'd still play Rashad White over the bunch in a full PPR. Yeah, that's what I would do. Garrett Wilson, DPJ, Demarcus Robinson from Baltimore. Yeah, I'll take Garrett Wilson this week in a full PPR. GC says pick 3: Pickens, Burks, London, or Hollins, or even Gus. Pickens, Burks, and London are the 3 that I would probably lean towards playing, especially in a full PPR scoring format. Gus doesn't really present too much value in that regard in comparison. Let's see here. Najee Harris, Devonta Smith, or Treylon Burks. Yeah, give me Najee again. Moreau, Taysom Hill, or Cole Kmet in a full PPR this week. Cole Kmet, if in fact Fields is active. Otherwise, give me Foster Moreau for this week. RB2 pick, Pacheco or Foreman. Yeah, I'll take Foreman there. Thank you. Palmer, Watson, Garrett Wilson, flex, full PPR. I want to play Watson predominantly, but I think probably in a full PPR, Palmer is the better play at that point. Because Watson's probably only going to catch the ball like 3 or 4 times. And if he does, he probably catches 1 touchdown, but it's the amount of yardage in which will separate him, and in comparison, the amount of receptions these other guys get. Because Garrett Wilson could very easily come out of this conversation with the most receptions. He could finish the game with 8 catches, 80 yards, and be the highest scorer of the bunch. We just don't know how well Mike White could potentially play in that regard. Lou says J.K. Dobbins as a sneaky ad for the future. I mean, I guess it could work. Again, I don't know if there's going to ever be a capacity in which that backfield is going to be empty and just one guy dominating the force. It's tough for me to imagine that being the case. I think they'll probably split going forward. Bun sent in another question, said Pacheco, Montgomery, White, Cordero, pick 2. I'll take White and Pacheco, assuming that Fields is inactive and Montgomery's not playable at that point. Bodie Derby says, hello, Andrew. Should I start DK Metcalf or Latavius Murray in a half PPR? Give me Latavius Murray there. Thank you. Gemini 13 says Kamara, Pacheco, Foreman in a standard format. Wowie. Do I really? Oh, man. I will, at that point, I'll take Foreman at that point. Yeah. I'll take Foreman against Denver. I don't want to deal with Kamara right now against the 49ers defense. He could fall into the end zone, but again, it's so tough to predict that potential. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Deontay? Yeah, give me Donovan Peoples-Jones. I do not want to play Deontay Johnson. I've already dropped Deontay in all my leagues. Just a fair warning, guys. So it's just not something that I'm interested in kind of rolling with. Latavius or McLaurin in a standard format. In a standard format, it's probably leaning towards the idea of playing Latavius there. But yeah, it's probably just safer to play Latavius. Miles Sanders or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones. Mark York. That's the direction I'm going in. Miguel says full PPR, need a wide receiver 3 in a flex. Olave, Pittman, and P. Ryan. Olave, Pittman, P. Ryan. Yeah, Olave and Pittman are probably the safer 2 of the bunch there. P. Ryan, again, needs a touchdown in order to be relevant. White or Foreman? I'd go with White this week. Can someone help me with this guillotine league? Non-PPR flex, Kamara, Evans, Najee, and Pacheco available as a free agent. Thank you. If you're playing one in the flex in a non-PPR, I'm probably leaning towards Najee Harris there. John. Hey, Andrew, we dropping Brandon Cooks or what? I mean, you could wait another week, right? We've held him for this long. Let's just wait one more week. Let's see what he looks like with Kyle Allen. Excluding ATN and Walker, what are some running backs I should be targeting using Aaron Jones and Godwin? Should I go down the list? Like, every running back that is under the sun should be gone after, right? Like, I'm going after Henry, JT, McCaffrey, Eckler, Jacobs. Who else? Actually, probably Jacobs is he's in a tougher spot in terms of fantasy playoff schedule. Who's another guy that I probably want to just full send at this point while using Aaron Jones? Ooh, that's the thing. If you're going to use Aaron Jones and Godwin, and let's say, for example, you're even in a half or full PPR, because Aaron Jones, in my mind, is probably top 12 upside remainder. So if you're going to move him from your team, you need someone that's in that top 5 capacity if you're going to move Aaron Jones and Godwin. Because I'm not going to go trade for Dalvin Cook. I don't need that on my roster. I think Aaron Jones has just as much, if not more, value remainder of the season here. So at that capacity, yeah, unless you're going to go for a big, like one of these massive plays like the Derrick Henrys of the world, or somebody that's in that top tier conversation, I have a hard time moving Aaron Jones for a lower capacity guys. Like I'm not going to move him for Alvin Kamara at the moment. Not going to move him for Dalvin Cook. Not going to move him for Josh Jacobs. I'm also in the conversation where I'm probably not going to move him for anything associated with Tampa's backfield. There's really not too much running back depth that I could actually. I'm not moving him for anybody like Dameon Pierce. Those guys are just not even on the radar at the capacity. I guess you could try to move him for Mixon on a buy low capacity, but again, I think you'd be giving too much with Aaron Jones and Godwin. Stevenson is I guess like comparable option as a 1-for-1. I don't know if you want to move 2-for-1 in that capacity. It doesn't seem like it's very balanced. So again, I'm trying to look towards guys, and I'm probably thinking let's go for top tier guys. I'm not really looking for anybody like lesser. Lucas Murray sends a question, says PPR pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Godwin, Sutton, Christian Watson. In a PPR, if I'm picking 2, it's most likely okay. Christian Watson moves down in a full PPR because again, he has less potential for a higher capacity, but I still in the favor of playing Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson there. Matt says, hey brother, what are your thoughts on Mike Williams? Should I hold on to him rest season? Yes, you should. I have Justin Jefferson, I have Pittman, I have Garrett Wilson, and I have Devonta Smith with Cooper Kupp and Hollywood Brown on my RAR. You don't have to keep him. I would though, because I still think he has enough value. So for the upcoming weeks, like if he's healthy in the future weeks here, like next week, the week after, I'd play him over Michael Pittman Jr. in almost every capacity. I'd play him over Devonta Smith in almost every capacity. So outside of Justin Jefferson, really, I don't think I'm favoring anybody else over him until we see like a consistent Hollywood Brown or Cooper Kupp returning. So yes, I would keep him on roster. All right, let me see here. Where art thou? Is trading Dameon Pierce and Brandon Ayuk for Josh Jacobs good or bad? Here's the issue that I have with Josh Jacobs. Okay, let me objectively just go over this with you guys. So the issue that I have with him primarily has to do with his upcoming schedule. So the remainder of the fantasy regular season. So this week, 13 and 14, okay? 12, 13, 14. For the Las Vegas Raiders consist of Seattle, pretty good matchup. Los Angeles Chargers, pretty good matchup. LA Rams, pretty good matchup. So those 3 games, technically, we could see great performances out of Josh Jacobs. If you need to get into the playoffs, that is a great move to make. Now, when we get into the playoffs, weeks 15, 16, and 17, the Raiders, goodness gracious, they take on New England. Not excited for it. Pittsburgh, okay, decent. Not the best, though. And then San Francisco, nightmare matchup. So 2 of those 3 matchups in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 15 and 17, against New England and San Francisco, not interested in any capacity in playing those. So at this moment, for the remainder of the regular season, sure. For the fantasy playoffs, not too excited about Josh Jacobs. That's why the Aaron Jones conversation that we had a little bit earlier, I'm not too keen on making that move in that capacity there. Romans 828 sends in a question, says, choose one, Palmer, Kittle, P.I. and Boyd. Wow. If you're playing in a half PPR standard, I play Kittle. If it's a full PPR, I'm probably in the direction of playing Palmer there. Thank you. Chris says Sanders, Latavius Murray, Deontay Johnson, or Tyler Lockett. In a half PPR, I'm playing Latavius Murray. Thank you. I probably even I'm considering it in a full PPR as well, to be totally honest. Latavius Murray is just he's got too much opportunity within that backfield in terms of overall touches. And even if he's inefficient in his running opportunity, the fact that they're targeting the running backs in the passing game is enough. Stop with the red lights, Trey. Yeah, Trey's going crazy. Look, when people spam like that, I usually just ignore it. So I'm just going to continue to do so. I have Trevor Lawrence, ETN, and Kirk. Pick 2. Wait, I have to play 2 of these options this week? Brian, if you're in a situation where... I think I play the 2 extensions of him. I think I play ETN and Kirk, and I just leave Lawrence on my bench. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. I'll just play the extensions. Christian Watson or Marquise Brown. I'll just play Christian Watson there. Andrew, should I play Higbee or Conklin? I'll play Higbee this week. David says Hollywood Brown, DPJ, Treylon Burks, full PPR. At the moment, It's Hollywood Brown. That takes the suggestion. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Full PPR, McLaurin, Etienne, Rashad White. Pick 2. If I'm picking 2 out of these 3 options, I'm picking McLaurin and Rashad White, and I'm benching Etienne. It's kind of crazy, but yes, I'm doing that. Chase his start this week, or sit if he plays. I'm pretty sure, Kyrie, that he's not going to even play. Let me go ahead and let me find the report that I was looking at earlier today, just to confirm. So let me go find this. Where in the heck is this? So let's go find the Jamar Chase. Why can't I find it? Okay, how about we go here? So I probably need to bring this down and then find it here, because I know where the link is. My phone just does not want to find it right now. So let's look up Jamar Chase in this search bar, and then it'll. So just to confirm, just so we're all on the same page. Okay, so it's actually not an NFL Network source. Okay, so this is, okay, so it's actually ESPN and The Score. 2 different sources. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports that Jamar Chase, game time decision, right? Then, earlier today, at noon Eastern time, The Score's Jordan Schultz reports Bengals Jamar Chase won't play this week against the Titans. Now, again, I thought this was an ESPN, or sorry, not ESPN. I thought this was an NFL Network report. Who the heck is Jordan Schultz, and how trustworthy is he, technically? Someone's got to actually legitimize this, because he's just plastering it all over the place that he's not going to play. So someone can confirm and or deny his legitimacy as a reporter. That would be great. Thank you. Marquise Brown or Garrett Wilson. I play Garrett Wilson there. Full PPR Paris Campbell, Garrett Wilson, DeMarcus Robinson. Yeah, I'll play Garrett Wilson there. Noah Fant or David Njoku. I will probably play Noah Fant, considering the weather concerns of that game. Olave over Sutton, yes. Benching ETN is blasphemous. It is blasphemous. No, I agree. It is very risky. But again, when I'm comparing the potential of values, I truly do believe unless somehow, some way, ETN is going to scorch. I mean, he could. I'm not even going to put it past his potential. He is talented enough. I look at that Baltimore Ravens matchup, and I do not like it in any sort of capacity. The level at which they have dominated running backs over the course of the last month is ridiculous. So at this moment, I'm 100% in the position where I'm thinking I'd rather just play the PPR upside of these other players. What is this? I don't understand these comments, man. You guys are just jokesters, right? The implication that I could hate a player is actually ridiculous. Okay, I legitimately make a living off of these players playing well. You guys understand that, right? I want the best for every single player. Like the idea that I would actually hate Alvin Kamara, or just because I don't like him in a given week because he plays the quite literally 3rd toughest matchup at the running back position. You're hating on him. Like, come on, man. Think about it, right? Think about it from my perspective. If I'm trying to predict success and failures, matchups, the 11 other defenders stopping your running back is the highest thing. Now, you might have Alvin Kamara on roster, and me telling you not to play him kind of, breaks your brain a little bit. But hey, at this current moment in time, it's the best probably approach to a lot of situations in regards to running backs. Waddle or White this week in a full PPR. At that point, you just play Waddle and you send it. Waddle's too valuable to not play in that regard. Ain't Hollywood on a snap count? Nope, I have no clue. No clue. Unless it's been stated by the team that that's the case, no clue. Okay, no red lights. Okay, here we go, Trey. You've conformed. Terry, Olave, or Godwin? Give me Terry and Olave there. Hey, Andrew, Pittman or Godwin in a full PPR? Just give me Pittman there. Yeah, it's just safer to go that way. Marquise Brown, Garrett Wilson, or McKinnon this week. Give me Garrett Wilson there. Let's see here. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me hop back into the donation questions that were sent in. Let me catch up here. So after Romans, we had Chris send in a question. We took care of Chris's question. We go to Groot. Says, start 2, Godwin, Juju, Pittman, Mooney. I'll take Juju and Pittman out of that group of 4 players. Groot, thank you. Colin Smith says, Njoku or Hollywood Brown. If I had to play one in the flex, I'm playing Hollywood Brown. I don't trust the weather Of course, in Cleveland, 70% chance of rain, 13-mile-per-hour winds projected for tomorrow morning. And not too interested in playing any sort of receiving options in that capacity in Cleveland because the weather could really be a mess. Now, again, if we wake up tomorrow, we look at the weather and pre-game warm-ups, looks like it's completely clear. The sun is out and it's fantastic. There's no wind. All of the reports are absolute BS. Then we're going to play guys like Njoku. But even in this case, in a full PPR, considering we're still on that kind of, I'm not 100% convinced as to the health of Njoku because of the way that he was utilized last week. His practice reports as of this week, I'd probably just roll towards Hollywood in that regard. Thank you. All right, before we continue, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid, click that like button down below. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. You may be thinking, Andrew, it only takes 1 second to click that button, and what's the value of it? Trust me, it is one of the most valuable metrics in terms of YouTube algorithm manipulation that could possibly be existent in this current moment in time. So besides your guys' viewership, clicking that like button is the next most valuable thing. So I appreciate you guys doing that for me. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. What other questions we have in the chat that I need to go ahead and address? Again, a reminder, heads up, we are in a position tomorrow where we will be live streaming tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'll be here tomorrow morning with updated rankings at running back, wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback on screen. Okay, all those will be on screen. So if in fact you have a question in regards to an interpositional ranking, that'll be available on screen to you. And we'll also be talking about top 10 kickers and defenses throughout tomorrow's stream. I might just make a graphic on it just so I don't have to talk as much tomorrow. Either way, hopefully we're in a position. Kyrie says Hollywood's coach did say that he would be on a snap count. I don't even know what that means. So what that means technically is they want to limit him to a specific amount of plays that he can play. Last week, they said the same thing about Keenan Allen being on a 30 snap count pitch, and he went to 44. So it depends on how the game goes. But either way, tomorrow morning, we'll be here for 2 hours, 8 a.m. PST to begin with rankings. So again, even if I don't get to your question today, hopefully tomorrow's questions and all that kind of jazz will be fine. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me pop the chat back up on screen. In probably, I'd say 15 minutes, I'm going to make a couple PrizePick entries and go over that for those of you guys who are interested, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's throw the chat back up on screen. Boom, right there. I just saw someone say bring back hidden gems. Where is that? Where did that comment go? Bring back hidden gems. Here's the issue with the hidden gems, okay? And I'll be 100% transparent on the fact. Hidden gems are extremely difficult to find. That's why they're called hidden gems. The capacity of predicting a player's success that is really low in terms of overall ownership and or start percentages is difficult to do. I used to do it in the past, but a lot of it has kind of faded away based on how this season has looked. I thought about bringing it back, but you go to every single week, unless I'm suggesting guys like Demarcus Robinson, which again are not guaranteed plays. They're not even in my top 36 wide receiver rankings. It's too risky to even suggest it as an idea. You know what I mean? Hey, Andrew, flex full PPR, Rachaad White over AJ Brown. As of this moment, yes, I'll take that. Denver or Washington defense rest of the season. You know what? Let's look at the rankings. Where do I have? Okay, so let's look at the fantasy playoffs in specific. Denver has Arizona, LA Rams, Kansas City. So I like them for technically 2 of those 3 weeks. As for the other defense that you were mentioning specifically, outside of Denver, it was either, what was the other defense? Or Washington. Okay, Washington in the fantasy playoffs plays New York Giants, San Francisco, and Cleveland. Yeah, I'll take Denver's defense rest of the season. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Enzo says, read my question, please. Crying emoji. All right, Enzo, where you at, my man? Oh, you sent in a donation. Yo, I got you, my man. When did you send that, Enzo? Oh, you just sent it. Yo, relax. Okay. We'll get to it right now. Okay. Enzo says, do I start Christian Watson over Pacheco, Palmer, and Paris? In a half PPR, yes. In a full PPR, I'll take Palmer. In a standard league, I'll still take Christian Watson there. Actually, no, scratch that. In a standard league, I'll take Pacheco. Standard Pacheco, half PPR Christian Watson, full PPR Palmer. I know it's crazy, but that's just my my way of approaching it. Matt says, play Hollywood against the LA Chargers or with Moore out, or Smith against Green Bay with Goddard out. Yeah, I'd rather just play Smith. I'll take Devon Smith there. Thank you. Okay, back to the chat. Kyler or Geno Smith? Jordan, I'd play Geno. Kamara or Garrett Wilson? I'm still playing Kamara there. Latavius or James Conner this week? In a standard scoring format, I'd probably go James Conner there. I need two. Okay, wide receiver. Okay, 2 wide receivers in a flex with Cooper. Brady or Jimmy G? I'll take Jimmy G. As for your flex and wide receiver options, in a full PPR, Olave and Ayuk are probably 1 and 2. White is your flex. Yeah, that's probably the direction we go in. Thoughts on Marlon Mack? No thoughts. Not interested. There's a reason why he's been on 4 teams in the last 4 months. It's because, he's not himself. After the Achilles, it's been a pretty rough go for Marlon Mack, unfortunately. He was good prior to the Achilles, but after such, it's just been rough, downhill. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Paris Campbell in a half PPR? I'm going Paris Campbell there. Start Palmer. I'll start Palmer, I guess. But Watson, Paris, or Pacheco. Okay, if we're starting one of those other options, what's the scoring format, though? Oh, I'm assuming it's PPR then, because you're starting Palmer. Then at that point, the next best option, I think, is just to play Watson and go for the upside there. Kamara or Murray? Yeah, I'll take Kamara there. Foreman or White? I'll take White. I have a choice of Travis, D-Hop, and Keenan Allen this week. Thoughts? Yeah, I'll take Travis Kelce 10 times out of 10. Thank you. Andrew, would you flex Everett or Kareem Hunt? I'll flex Everett. Yeah, I would. Metcalf, Goodwin. Godwin, Ty Hill, as in Tyreek Hill, Marquise Brown, and Juju. Yeah, I'll easily, without a doubt, play Tyreek Hill, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Metcalf. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 guys I like to play there, Bill. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, or Hollywood Brown in a non-PPR. If the weather is fine, I'm playing Amari. Otherwise, it's Keenan Allen as my pivot option. Foster, Dulcich, or Juwan Johnson. I'll take Juwan Johnson. I'll just hope for the touchdown upside in that regard. Thoughts on Cam Akers? He's good for the remainder of the year. This week is not a good week for him, though. Kansas City's going to boat race them, which means they're going to put up 14 points in the first quarter, which will pretty much eliminate them from running the ball in the second half, which will eventually allow Kieran Williams to get more snaps, more opportunities, more time to show himself off, and more opportunity to pretty much win this backfield in the given week. What is this? T is top 10, if not very close. What are we talking about here? T. Higgins? I think T. Higgins is like a top 5 wide receiver by tomorrow. Njoku or Everett? Yeah, I'm taking Everett this week. Which defense should I drop? Denver or Washington? Are we talking about for the... Listen, have you made the playoffs yet? I think that's the main question, Rico. If you've made the playoffs and you have confirmed and clinched a spot, I would just drop Washington's defense. If you're in a position where you're like, Andrew, I still got to play the regular season, at that point, let's look at the schedule. Weeks 12. Okay, so then the remainder of the schedule is Carolina, Baltimore, and Kansas City for Denver. Don't like that. Actually, I like the next 2 weeks. I'll take Carolina and Baltimore. Those are good. Against Kansas City, actually, they played pretty well against Kansas City. So it's actually not that bad. And then Washington has Atlanta, and then they have a bye. Yeah, you're going to drop Washington. They have a bye in week 14. You just play Denver for the remainder. Thank you. Alrighty. Let's see here. I'm just going to scroll. Jets defense or San Francisco? Jets this week, if in fact Trevor Siemian's playing quarterback. Olave over Latavius? That's your opinion. Najee or Rashad White? I'll take Rashad White. Let's see here. Travis Etienne, Keenan Allen, D-Hop full PPR. Give me D-Hop full PPR. Again, D-Hop probably catches the ball 10 times this week for like 70 yards. So if he scores a touchdown, he's a 24-point play, right? 23-point play. So kind of not really looking towards not playing him. I kind of have to at this point. Eagles or Carolina defense this week? I'll take Carolina's defense against Denver. Hollywood, because I know Carolina the last 2 weeks have been like 8, 9, 10 points. So they're pretty consistent in that regard. Hollywood or Palmer this week? I'll take Palmer. Jordan. Carter or Campbell in a half PPR? I'll take Michael Carter this week. I'll take Rashad White over Najee Harris, like I mentioned before. Kevin Smith, what's up? Says PPR, I need 2. Kittle, Pittman, Sutton, Burks, London. Yeah, I'll take these two primaries. I'll take Kittle and I'll take Pittman. London's like a to be determined. Burks is another one of these to be determined because of the fact that London doesn't get enough targets. Burks is coming off of a 1 week wonder play. Sutton is fine, but he doesn't have as much upside as these two. These two are the favorites at the moment. Yep, Shira says pick one. Pierce, Olave, Garrett Wilson in a full PPR. At the moment, I'd go with Olave first, Garrett Wilson second, and then Pierce third in a full PPR. Rashad White or Higgins at the flex, half PPR. At a half PPR format, I'd rather play White. In a full PPR, I'd rather play Higgins. Najee or Pittman in a flex, full PPR. Ooh, Najee's, that's a tough one. I'd have to think about that for a while, actually. I think that's really close. They probably by tomorrow morning, they're going to be back-to-back in my rankings. I'm gonna call it right now, just preemptively. Because I'm thinking to myself, if Najee Harris goes for another 20-touch game, he could actually probably outscore Pittman. But that touchdown upside, that's the question. Because Pittman could do it without a touchdown, and that's the biggest intrigue on his overall factor. What is it? Sanders, Pierce, or Latavius? At the moment, I'm good. At the moment, I have Latavius number 1, Sanders 2, Pierce 3. If Fournette misses, he will. He's already out. He's already been deemed out, Rico. Sorry. I got to read more, guys. My apologies. If Fournette misses more games, where do you rank White? White for the remainder of the season, based on schedule, let's see here. Tampa Bay takes on Cleveland, New Orleans, San Francisco. So New Orleans is a good matchup. San Francisco is not. But then you get into the fantasy playoffs where we have Cincinnati, Arizona, and Carolina. I probably have him as a top 20 option because Fournette will come back. I don't think he's going to miss more than just this week. He was limited at practice. His limitation at practice, the fact that he was present, leads me to believe that he is going to be active in future weeks. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions and say that we have to, rank Rashad White at a really high capacity because quite frankly, we don't. It's just a matter of being able to have both on roster and kind of deal with jumping back and forth in the upcoming weeks here. All right, so after Yapshiro, we had a question here from Niner209. We're going to get to there. D. Porter said, hey, Andrew, in the flex full PPR, Algier, London, or Juju? Yeah, I'm 1,000% in on Juju Smith-Schuster this week. Thank you. All right, so let me go to Niners question. Where are you at, Niner? Niner says, full PPR, only play 2. Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, I'll take Keenan Allen, and I'll take Christian Kirk. Volume of targets, PPR upside in terms of just receptions alone, leans in their direction. I think Christian Kirk has the highest touchdown upside of the group as well. And Keenan Allen, because of there's no Byron Murphy, could honestly go for 10 catches on this given week. So I'm leaning in his direction. Let's see here. Hi, Andrew. Sorry. Messed up the first question. I meant to ask half PPR, pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, or Paris Campbell. Yeah, Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson are my suggestions there. Thank you. Standard League, Pacheco or Montgomery. I'll take Pacheco. Chiefs or Eagles defense this week? Give me the Chiefs, Millie. Full PPR, pick 2, wide receiver, and a flex. Okay. We have Olave, Boyd, Sutton, Elijah Moore, Gus, Kieran, Pirine. Pirine will be my flex. Olave and Sutton will be the 1 and 2. Thank you, Brandon. Monty or Tyler Boyd? I'll take Monty. Campbell, Burks, Pickens. Campbell, Burks, Pickens. It's going to be Pickens first and foremost in a full in a half PPR format. Yeah. In a full PPR scoring format, I could be convinced of the Campbell play, but for right now, we'll just go Pickens. Hey, Andrew, Lazard or Hollywood Brown or Sanders in the flex full PPR? Ooh, good question. I think there's probably more. I probably play Lazard there. Last time, Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown for Kamara, Tyreek Hill, full PPR. I would. Oh, wow. I got to think about this actually. Do I want to risk taking Kamara for the remainder of the season in the capacity that he's currently at with New Orleans up against Atlanta? Yeah, I'll take Kamara side. Yeah, give me the Kamara Tyreek Hill side of that deal for the remainder of the season. Yeah, Give me Kamara, Tyreek Hill here. Standard, White or Waddle? I'll take White. If it's a full PPR, it's Waddle for sure, right? But if it's a standard format, you're not going to get the points for the receptions he's going to garner. I'll just take White there. Because in a full PPR, if Waddle catches the ball 6 times, I mean, that's literally a touchdown just in receptions alone. So if we're excluding that from his potential scoreline, I think White probably outscores him in terms of yardage and potential other touchdown upside. Paris Campbell or Pickens. Okay, we already did that one. Perfect. Okay. If Josh Jacobs is ruled out, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Tyler Lockett. And okay, so Death Lord, this is my suggestion. Even if Josh Jacobs isn't ruled out and he's playing, I'd rather play Jeff Wilson ahead of him. Then your follow-up question would then be, if Josh Jacobs is in, do I play him over Tyler Lockett? And I'd say yes, I'd rather play Josh Jacobs over Tyler Lockett in a half PPR this week. Hi, Andrew. I have a choice between Travis Etienne and Keenan Allen this week at the flex. Any thoughts? Full PPR, I'll take Keenan Allen in a half. I'll take Travis Etienne. And then in a standard, I'll take Travis Etienne. I said Travis Kelce. T-Law, Fields, or Heineke? If Fields is active, I'll play him. Otherwise, it's T-Law. And Godwin, Sutton, Paris Campbell, Etienne. I'll play Etienne out of that group. Alrighty. Hey, Andrew, half PPR. Where do you rank Rachaad White this week among the remaining running backs? Also, thoughts on Taysom Hill. Tomorrow morning, you'll have the answer to that. I think if I was just to give you a ballpark answer as to where I have him technically ranked, let's see here. Let's go to my Patreon page. In terms of where I have him technically ranked based on what's still available, I have him at like RB7, RB8 overall. He's up there, guys. It's no joke. He's going to be a pretty good play tomorrow. Against Cleveland of all teams, with Leonard Fournette out. My goodness, man. When are you doing PrizePicks? Let's do it right now. Just 1 second. Let me answer a couple more questions here. Let me make sure there isn't anything that I missed in terms of donations. Nope. Okay, we're good to go there. Okay, let's do that real quick. So what I want to do, I'm going to bring the chat down. We'll answer questions in a moment. I want to go over a couple PrizePick entries for this upcoming weekend. Again, if you guys haven't signed up or checked them out before, you can go ahead and check them out. There's a link down in the description. When you sign up using promo code Andrew and make that first-time deposit, you'll be given a first-time deposit match that is immediately doubled up to 100. So again, if you deposit 100, you get 100 bonus in the app. If you just deposit the minimum of 10, you'll be given 10. You can go ahead, make a couple entries for this upcoming weekend's NFL games. So let's go ahead and let's pop this up on screen, shall we? Boom. Okay. So top right corner of the screen. You know what? Maybe we change it up. Yeah, we'll just leave it up here for right now. I don't know how visible that is to you guys, but top right corner is PrizePicks, okay? As of this moment, there are a lot of potential more or less selections you can make on different statistics, right? I mean, like if we're talking about passing yardage in the case of like a Russell Wilson. Why did that happen? Let's refresh this page. Let's go back to the NFL. Russell Wilson in specific, right? At this current juncture, right? Going over 219.5 passing yards has been pretty successful for him, right? So if you're thinking he's probably going to go more than that number, you click on him, pick more, add him with another player from a different team, and make a potential entry. You can add up to 6 different players. I think if you add up to 6 and you get all right, you like, I think, what is it? Like, actually, I don't actually know. Let me actually see this. If I pick 6 different players and I pick all of their numbers going a specific way, it 25 times my overall entry. 25 times. So theoretically, if I get 5 correct at 2x's, so I get at least some of my money back. If I get 4 correct, I get a portion of my entry. But if I, oh my God, that's actually ridiculous. Yeah, there's no way I'm getting 6 correct. I'll just be frank with you guys. I don't think I have 6 guarantees in any sort of capacity this week. But let's go ahead and let's talk about a couple that I actually do like though. In terms of receiving yards, every single week, the PrizePick group always has Jalen Waddle at a disgustingly low number. I don't know why they do. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. I think their assumption is mainly because Houston has been pretty good against opposing wide receivers this season. My argument to that is that they haven't played against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill yet. So just to give you guys some perspective, 68.5 receiving yards for Jalen Waddle this week in specific with Tua this season. He's accomplished that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's accomplished that 6 out of the last 7 games that he's played with Tua this season. The only week that he wasn't able to accomplish it was the last time that they played, the last week that they played, week 10, in which he had 66 receiving yards on 4 receptions in a game in which they won 39-17. Again, it was a blowout. They didn't really have to compete. So in my mind, I'm thinking the math is on my side in terms of probability and chances of Jalen Waddle being able to surpass this number as one of the main, priority options of this offense. This season with Tua, he's averaging 98 receiving yards per game. So I'm in a pretty good spot with that. So Jalen Waddle, I'll take the more on his number. As for other potential options, let's see here. Let's look around the fantasy community. I as much as I talk about Jeff Wilson Jr. and Rachaad White this week, I'm actually curious. Does Jeff Wilson have any numbers this week? Jeff Wilson Jr. has a bunch. Okay. So at this current moment, 16.5 fantasy score, 80 rushing yards, 13 receiving. I think all of these are going to be more. I actually think all these go over. Because this is, okay, by the way, for fantasy score on their site, it's full PPR basis. I am 100% of the opinion that all these numbers go on the upper side of the spectrum. I think the guarantee out of all of it, quite frankly, in my mind, is probably, like, rushing yards is going to be really easy for him to gather up. If anything, fantasy points is probably really close to. He almost did it in that Bears matchup where he was even secondary to it. Yeah, I'll just take the rushing yards on this. I think it's a pretty good play in terms of overall production against the team. Literally, in the last 5 weeks, just to give you a statistic, the last 5 weeks, the Houston Texans are allowing 177 rushing yards to opposing running backs per game. Crazy stat, huh? Last player I wanted to mention, let's talk about Rachaad White here, huh? What numbers do they have him at? Okay, so they don't have any yardage plays on him. Interesting. I think they're afraid of it. That's why. I would be afraid of it too. I think he should smash these numbers. Yes, I'll take it. I'm that confident. So for those of you guys who are asking, Andrew, would you play Rachaad White? The reason why I have him at a top capacity in that top 7 conversation is because legitimately I do believe he's going to surpass 16.5 fantasy points. I'm of that opinion. I'm going to make an entry real quick. And then go back to the board. Boom, that's done. Is there any other like juicy entries that we can make here? 5.5 receptions. I don't mind that. Let's see what else is okay. There's a lot of numbers here where I'm actually not opposed. Like, how are we about to tell me that Christian Kirk ain't about to surpass 5.5 catches? Like, are we? Man, that actually looks like a number I need to take. Hold up, wait a minute. What else is it? Okay, I'm sorry. Is Travis Kelce not smashing that number? Oh, he's been sitting on the 6th line. Goodness, Travis. Of course you have. Let me see here. Yeah, I am actually of the opinion that this is a good number here. Let me go see here. Field goals made. You guys know I'm always about the field goals made conversation. I'll take Myers always because he's an absolute machine. What's another conversation? Rushing attempts. Let me see here. Who's got a high volume of numbers here, or at least a lower volume that could be taken advantage of? Okay, we have some decent number. I don't even know. These are tough ones. McCaffrey's number is actually kind of tough to determine. I'm thinking that could go less, though. Typically, he's been really good against New Orleans in his career, though. Rushing touchdowns, that's interesting. I like that number. Receiving touchdowns, that's interesting as well. Passing, ooh. I'll take this. All right. That's another entry. All right, guys. Again, that's the entire impetus of PrizePicks. You're picking more or less on a given player statistic. You can go ahead and make a couple entries. I know there's college football. I know there's NBA. You guys are probably more knowledgeable than me in a lot of these other sports. Maybe even in football. Again, sometimes I give players too much of a benefit of the doubt. I go for more way too often because I'm always hoping for upside play in every sort of capacity. I'll probably have some more defined positions as of tomorrow morning. We'll mention a couple. But either way, if you guys haven't checked that out, again, there's a link down in the description. Use promo code Andrew today when you make that first time deposit. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll go ahead, bring down this display capture. We'll go back here. Okay, we saw a dono just come in. We'll get to that dono in just a moment. We had a couple questions that flew in here. All right, cool. So I'm going to be here, guys, for the next 30 minutes. So we're going to be answering questions, and then I'm going to bow out at exactly 3 o'clock PT. I have a couple things that I've committed myself to prior to the stream. So we're going to have to immediately, as soon as we hit the number, I'm out. Okay. So I do appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to try to get as many questions answered. If you guys do not get your question answered tomorrow morning, again, we will have updated rankings on screen from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll also be talking about, besides, the rankings that are on screen, running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and the defenses and kicker rankings for tomorrow. We'll also be mentioning, of course, any other questions you guys have, whether it's by proxy of answering somebody else's question. Hopefully your questions are answered in that capacity. Thank you. All right. Donahue Brown sends in a question. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it. Says, hey, Andrew, full PPR, Keenan Allen or Chris Godwin in the flex? Absolutely. Even if there was no weather concerns in that Cleveland game, I would still feel more confident playing Keenan Allen. Based on the matchup alone, no Byron Murphy against the Cardinals. Should be a fantastic play this week for Keenan Allen. After a week of actually showing himself, that he can stay healthy, we're going to be in a really good spot here with him. Donahue, appreciate it. Brenton7, thank you very much. Says, half PPR, Sutton, Lazard, Hollywood Brown. Sutton, Lazard, Hollywood Brown. Of the 3.5 PPR, I think it's probably just safest to roll with Sutton as of this week. Thank you. Benny G, thank you very much. Says, hey, Andrew, you're the GOAT. Currently 4th overall in the Australia. Yeah, appreciate that. I mean, listen, hey, we're in a good spot right now. So here we go. You're 4th overall in the country of Australia. I mean, the insanity of that in itself is we love to see it, man. We love to see it. My only question is, what is this whole, you know what? Benny, do me a favor and send me the link to the website that's on. I actually want to look at this thing. This is crazy, right? Okay, anyway. Does Joe Burrow or Tua score more on the run home? So as of this week, I'm expecting Joe Burrow to actually, without Jamar Chase theoretically there. That's a good one, actually. Is Joe Burrow going to outscore Tua in a week in which there's no Jamar Chase? They take on Tennessee, and we're coming off of 3 consecutive weeks of Tua having 3 or more touchdown passes. I actually probably play Tua there this week. As for the follow-up, and do I play Etienne or Aaron Jones this week in a standard scoring format? I would play I probably play standard scoring format. That's a wow. Okay, we got some tough ones here this week, huh, Benny? I'm probably leaning towards the idea of playing Aaron Jones. I don't really like that Baltimore Ravens matchup, even in that standard scoring format capacity. Thank you. Okay. Let me scroll down here. Why Sutton? He's garbage. Do you know something I don't? I'm pretty sure Jerry Jeudy's out this week, right? Am I crazy? I'm fairly certain he is. Okay, yes, I can confirm Jerry Jeudy's missing this week. So, what are we confused about? The last 2 weeks, Cortland Sutton, 18 targets, pretty good yardage, pretty good play. I mean, again, does he have the upside of a touchdown? Certainly, every player does. But what is Cortland Sutton going to give us ultimately? 10 fantasy points and a half PPR. I will take that. As a wide receiver to play, I will take that in any sort of capacity. He will always have upside. So I don't think he's garbage. You may be thinking, oh, Andrew, instead of saying, Andrew, he's garbage. Andrew, he doesn't get enough targets. Or Andrew, he's not getting enough consistent utilization. Okay, we could talk about that. But in terms of the last 2 weeks, I'm perfectly fine with the amount of opportunities he's gotten. 18 targets is a pretty solid number. Any sort of capacity in which we're talking about Sutton, in comparison to those other guys, I will take the solid number of yardage and the receptions that he's getting in comparison. Because I know he does have touchdown upside, and even though the offense in itself is ill-equipped to score, it's not like it's impossible for them to do so, especially against Carolina secondary. D-Hop, reception line was easy money, in my opinion. With the 7 receptions, it's possible. Benny says, tough week. Yeah, it definitely is, Benny. Thank you. Would you start Geno over Murray? Yes, I would. I would start Geno Smith over Murray this week. Bring back hidden gems. Don't worry. I hear it a lot. Full PPR, Keenan Allen, Godwin, or Jeff Wilson. I'll play Jeff Wilson and Keenan Allen there as the pick 2. Standard league, Godwin, Christian Watson, DPJ, Campbell, Sutton. I'll take Christian Watson there. Campbell, Burks, Pickens. I will take Pickens out of the group. Thank you. Taylor says Sutton is not garbage. Sutton is great. Wilson is washed. Yeah, unfortunately, that is but that's the thing, right? We have to make decisions based on also the attachment. I understand that Wilson's washed, but Wilson was actually decent last week in terms of his passing completion percentage, and his total yardage. They're willing to throw the ball a little bit more. And I guess, the 9 targets going towards the running back position certainly do help. But if that's going to help move the ball and get them down into the red zone, again, there's always upside there for Sutton. Sutton plus Wilson over other choices. What are we even talking about, Rogers? What's the context here? I don't even know what the context is. Start Michael Pittman Jr. or Juju? I'll take Juju Smith this week. Would you rather start... would you start Antonio Gibson, Latavius Murray, or Josh Palmer in the flex full PPR? That's actually a really good one. That's a really good question. I don't know, Nick. I got to think about that one, actually. I got to let that one kind of mull over in my brain. King says, flex Sutton, Christian Kirk, or Montgomery. Yeah, it's Christian Kirk, for sure. P. Ryan or Samuel in a full PPR. Which Samuel are we talking about? Is it Debo? I'm assuming if it was Debo, you would have said Debo. So I'm going to say it's P. Ryan because that's Curtis Samuel. That's my assumption. Andrew Cole Kmet or Juwan Johnson. I'll play Juwan Johnson unless, of course, Fields is playing. DPJ, DJ Moore, Mooney. Start 2 full PPR. I don't like any of them, but if I had to play 2, I'd play DJ Moore and DPJ. Full PPR. Anyone over Kamara, Jones, Ramondre, Cook, Wilson. Ramondre already played this week. Are we talking about rest of the season? Rowett. Are we talking about rest of the season? Half PPR flex, Landon. I don't know why I see Landon all the time. London, Brian Robinson, and or Curtis Samuel. If I'm playing in a half PPR, I'd probably rather play Brian Robinson over the bunch. How much do you like Pickens for the rest of the season? Or is Pittsburgh a mess? No, actually, Pittsburgh has looked better and better as the weeks have gone on. Kenny Pickett is actually improving. Like, there is visible improvement every time I watch the Pittsburgh Steelers play. In terms of after every week of obviously I'm going through the clips quickly, just kind of looking for specific things. But Kenny Pickett has looked a lot better in the last couple of weeks, and the fact that he's actually mobile keeps the chains moving, which is great. I mean, he was mobile in college. They ran a lot of RPO there. They could run more in the NFL. Matt Canada should probably implement more of that, but at the moment, I think Pickens is in a really good spot to continue to be the number one of that offense and probably be like a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 option remainder. Rest of season, Rowett. Okay, let me see here. So, any of these guys, full PPR, anyone over Kamara? Jones, Ramondre, Cook, Jeff Wilson. Ramondre for sure. Jones, Jones I could be convinced of, and I think that's it. I'll take Kamara over the other 2. Let's see here. If White goes off, should I sell high or hold? And I don't have Fournette, so I'm not handcuffing. I would probably sell high at that point then. Yeah, you're probably in your best interest to sell high at that position. Especially if, in fact, we know that the following week, Fournette is going to be back. Cash Kid said, I need 2. You only said Watson. All right, let's see your cash. Start 2, Godwin, Watson, DPJ, Campbell. Yeah, so it's Christian, Watson. Godwin's not playable until we know what the capacity of the weather is. Same thing with DPJ, so it goes to Campbell. If the weather's fine, then you play Godwin out of the bunch. Otherwise, it's Campbell as a secondary option there. Appreciate it. Tommy, I saw that. We'll get to it in a moment. Ayuk or P-Ryan in a PPR? Give me Brandon Ayuk. Isaiah Pacheco or Pierce in a half PPR? Ooh, wow. I'm going to ooh, man. I probably play Pierce, but I'm not too convinced about it. Could change my mind. I think they're going to be relatively close. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I did. Thank you. Pick one for a full PPR, Latavius Murray or Dameon Pierce. Yeah, I'll take Latavius there. Thank you. Pacheco or P. Ryan this week in a full PPR. I'll take Samaje. Because I do expect Samaje P. Ryan to catch the ball at least 5 times this week. So if he catches the ball 5 times for 35 yards, gets himself 8.5 fantasy points there, runs it for 40 yards, gets himself 12.5 fantasy points in a full PPR, that's a pretty good range of what we can expect. Scores a touchdown, gets himself 18.5 fantasy points. Incredible week. That's the kind of level that we're looking at. Let me see here. A couple donations that were sent in. Just want to address them really quickly. So we had Andrew Conroy say 12-team full PPR. Choose 2. Mike Evans, Rashad White, Aaron Jones. Okay, so of the three, if I'm picking two options, I'm playing Aaron Jones and Rashad White. If in fact it's not, even if it's not a rain game, Andrew Conroy, I'm still playing Rashad White over Aaron Jones. I think this team is certainly going to be running the ball at a pretty high capacity. And when they do so, especially against Cleveland, it could be a great play there. So that's kind of the direction I'm leaning in. King, we did that question. We went with Christian Kirk over Sutton and Montgomery. Tommy Connor says start 2, Chubb, AJ Brown, Latavius Murray, and Pirine. If I'm starting 2 out of that group, it is AJ Brown and Chubb. Carlino says pick 2, Jacobs, Pierce, Connor, full PPR. I'll play Jacobs and Connor this week. If Jacobs is inactive somehow, some way, then of course you pivot to Pierce, but otherwise it's Jacobs and Connor. Thank you. XD's 4325_ says, trade Pierce and Garrett Wilson for Evans in a standard format. Pick up Rashad White as a replacement RB3. Let me look at Houston's schedule remainder of the season. Houston takes on Miami, Cleveland, Dalton. I don't know if I want to drop. And then they, in the fantasy playoffs, take on Kansas City, Tennessee, and then they take on Jacksonville. I don't think I want to make that trade. If you're in desperate need of a wide receiver in a standard scoring format, I understand the reason why you would do it. I'm of the opinion that you should be picking up Rashad White regardless and playing him over Dameon Pierce this week. But I don't know if I want to give away Dameon Pierce pretty much for just Evans in a standard league with Garrett Wilson as well. So if you can just pick, if you can't make the move to be able to just straight up pick up Rashad White, then I guess we can make the move. I just don't love it. Boiler 2147 says wide receiver 3 option, Boyd or Watson. I'll take Watson this week. Flex option, Cordero Patterson, Foreman, Boyd or Watson. I'll take Foreman there in the standard. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty, a couple more questions. Let's see here. What time is it? 42. We got 18 minutes. We're good. Let me scroll back up. Let's see. Okay, actually, no, we can just scroll to the bottom. Start Moreau or Everett this week. Gohan, I'm playing Everett. Thank you. Walker, Connor, White, pick 2. I'll take Walker and White. Thank you. White Walker. How about that? Game of Thrones. Rashad White or Pacheco rest of the season? Aha, good question. I don't know. I'm going to predict that the answer is Pacheco, mainly because Fournette will return. And when he does, he will be utilized enough to where it isn't going to diminish, or it will diminish Rashad White's value to an extent. I think Rashad White's going to be like a 1 or 2 week guy here, and we can survive off that. But going forward, there's a reason why I told the guy prior to potentially sell him after a big week here. Dulcich or Moreau? I'll take Moreau this week. Thoughts on Josh Palmer this week? Should be a pretty good play. I think I'll probably have him in my top 24. PPR. Okay, we already did that. Monty or Carter? Carter is the play. Unless, of course, Fields is playing, in which then I play Monty. But otherwise, Michael Carter is probably going to be the play this week. Why are you picking Pickens over Campbell? Campbell plays the worst defense. He's been averaging 19 with Matt Ryan starting. Okay, Kyrie, trust me, I'm the Campbell conductor in terms of the hype train. The primary reason why I'm not starting Campbell over Pickens in a half PPR scoring format is just potential for upside. I understand that Campbell scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. But again, we have to understand that Pickens has also scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So in terms of potential upside in that regard, there's just more upside equally in terms of touchdown potential. Now, on top of it, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense aren't great, but the amount of utilization we saw specifically from Alec Pierce last week scares the crap out of me. If Alec Pierce is going to continue to get more and more targets in that offense, and that number is going to continue to creep up and even out-target Paris Campbell, and we're no longer going to see these games in which Matt Ryan is just slowly but surely just dumping it off close to him, it makes it that much more difficult to play that. Foreman or Gibson? I'll take Gibson. Oh, this is rest of season question. Yeah, I'll probably still take Gibson there. In a full PPR, it's tough though. It's tough. All right. Let's see here. Fields or Jimmy G? I think it's just it's just a safer play to play Jimmy G there. Yeah, Jimmy G. The primary reason why I'm afraid of Fields is because if his shoulder is a pain issue, he could probably come in and just play well. But if it's out of capacity to where it's going to diminish his play and he's only going to be running the ball for the entirety of the game, I'd rather just take the Jimmy G play there and not have to risk Fields leaving the game with a re-injury or anything of that nature. Rashad White, Olave, Ayuk, and Rashad White are my suggestions. Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin, Christian Watson. I'll take Terry McLaurin and Chris Olave there in a full PPR. Keenan Allen, Najee Harris, Olave, full PPR, thanks. I'll take Keenan Allen there. Would you have dropped Swift for the Tampa Bay running back White? I sat on that thought all week. Would I have dropped Swift for him? Haha. If you're in a win to get in situation, sure. If like, hey, Andrew, I need a win this week, otherwise I'm out of the playoff contention, yes, I would have done it. But outside of that, I probably wouldn't have suggested that. Kamara, Rashad White, Debo in the flex this week, I'll take Rashad White. Muth or Juwan Johnson, I'll take Muth. Yeah, I'll take Muth for sure there. Half PPR, start one, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, Cordero Patterson. I will probably go with Christian Watson, then Michael Carter, 1-2. Hello, Andrew. Trade Swift and Olave for Mixon full PPR. Yes. Right now. Get it done. Mixon for sure rest season has pretty good value there. All right. After Boiler XDs sent another question, said, yo, follow-up question. You can only roster 3 running backs. I have Diggs, Chase, Tyreek Hill, Palmer, Garrett Wilson. My other running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Mixon. So you would theoretically, yeah, no, I'd just keep Dameon Pierce then. If you're in a win to get in situation, sure, I'd rather have Evans and potentially Rashad White this week, but for the remainder of the season, Dameon Pierce is a better option. Brandon says standard league Mike Evans or Keenan Allen, depends on weather. If weather's not an option, we play Mike Evans. Otherwise, again, you pivot towards Keenan Allen. Justin says Brady or Jimmy G. I'll take Jimmy G this week. Paul says trade Barkley for Chase, PPR. Other running backs are Derrick Henry, Jeff Wilson Jr., Rashad White, Dameon Pierce, Latavius Murray. My other wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman Jr., and Devontae Smith. Do I want to trade Barkley for the Cincinnati wide receiver? The Giants in the fantasy playoffs have, and I quote, Atlanta, Cleveland, and Philly. No, actually, no, that's New Orleans. My apologies. They have Las Vegas, Cincinnati, and Miami. Las Vegas is a good matchup. Cincinnati is a pretty decent matchup against stud running backs. And then who do we have for the remainder here for the New York Giants? They have Washington, Philly, while Cincinnati at wide receiver has Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland. Okay, that could be actually decent. Tampa Bay, New England. I'll take Saquon Barkley remainder. I'll keep Saquon there. I think it's just a little bit more stability. And I don't really have to worry about the injury concern. Let's see here. Full PPR, Jimmy G or Carr? I'll take Jimmy G. Where do you rank Olave rest of season? I couldn't even give you a number. At this moment, don't have a number for it. I can give you a range, but I can't give you a number. Will Kieran be startable in a few weeks? PPR, yes. I assume he's even startable this week in a top 36 capacity in a full PPR. Pick 2, Aaron Jones, ETN, or Rashad White. I'll take Aaron Jones and I'll take ETN. Sorry, Aaron Jones and I'll take White. Why did I say ETN? That's what happens when my brain is flustering. Too much going in and out. If Jacobs is out, Gibson or Pierce this week. I'll take Gibson. Kyrie, why are we spamming? I literally just addressed your question like 10 minutes ago, my man. Not even. It was probably like 3 minutes ago. Full PPR, Sutton, Dameon Pierce, P. Ryan, Devonta Smith, Debo. Under the assumption that we have a healthy Debo, I want to play these two, Devonta Smith and Debo. If in fact we don't have a healthy Debo and he's not active tomorrow, which I doubt, actually we're probably just playing these guys. The next best option probably out of this group is P. Ryan. St. Brown to the moon. Yes, that is of course. That's a given. I mean, you guys have heard me for the last 2 months here, right? Who you got tonight? USC or Notre Dame? I don't watch college football. Not even to the slightest capacity. When it's the NFL season, I don't pay attention to anything but the NFL. Hold on to Akers or Kieran in a standard. In a standard scoring format, I expect Matthew Stafford to eventually return, so I'd probably hold on to Akers in that capacity, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kieran Williams continued to just dig into more and more work there. Let's see here. Nick Chubb, Dameon Pierce, Wilson, White, McCaffrey, Connor. This week, I have Wilson, White, and McCaffrey as the 3 highest ranked there, Fisher. Burrow, Fields, Watson, keep 2. for the remainder of the season, it's probably Burrow. And considering if Fields plays this week, I'd keep him for the remainder of the year. If he plays this week. If he doesn't, I'd just rather have Watson because the health is going to be a concern remainder. What about Hollywood? What about Hollywood? As in this week, what are we doing with him? You'll see better tomorrow morning. At this moment, we're probably in a situation with Hollywood Brown where we most likely want to be very cautious with him in regards to this week. We'll wait to see what happens. He's probably going to be in my top 24 wide receiver ranks, but very low in that spectrum. And then based on the amount of utilization, how healthy it is, we'll kind of approach with it going forward. Paris Campbell or DPJ? Yeah, give me Paris Campbell there. Harry says, sorry, my phone died. Yeah, no, you're fine. I basically, it was somewhere earlier on where I explained they both have similar touchdown upside. I understand that he's playing well with Matt Ryan, but we can say the same thing about Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, so I'd just rather play with that overall upside in a half PPR. Samaje or Lazard in a full PPR? I probably think... that one's tough, actually. I kind of want to play Samaje, though. Everett or Moreau? I'll take Everett. Olave, Christian Watson, Sutton. Thank you. Yeah, I'll take these two. I'm sitting Sutton this week. Mike Evans or Rachaad White in the flex? I'll take Rachaad White in the flex. Okay, guys. Kittle or Freiermuth? I mean, come on. Cannon, there's no way we're not starting Kittle, right? There's no way. It's impossible. Weather or... Yeah, I would probably still play Sanders here. If the weather is concerning enough to the point where we really can't even throw the ball, we're probably in this position. Anthony, why'd you delete your message? Let me see if Anthony typed in a message earlier. Anthony. Goodness gracious. Could I type Anthony correctly? No other questions? Anthony, what's up? George Kittle. Okay, yeah, so we did that one. Olave or Godwin this week. Again, considering we are not 100% certain, Oliver, as to the potential of the weather being a full impact, I'm going to lean towards Olave. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a better indication as to what we're kind of dealing with in terms of weather concerns. In that game, 70% chance to rain, 30-mile-per-hour projected wind. If that's going to actually consistently be the case for all 4 quarters, I think it's probably safer to play Olave against the 49ers defense. Sky Moore or Nico Collins? I'd rather play Sky Moore this week. Hayden Hurst or Dulcich? I'll take Hayden Hurst. That's fine. I don't really trust Dulcich that much. He had himself a really good start to the season. Just really has kind of fizzled out as of late. Rachaad White or Montgomery? I'll take Rachaad White. Again, Rachaad White's my number 7 or 8 running back going into tomorrow morning, guys. He's a pretty good play, to say the very least. Let's see here. Gareth South, Wales. Okay, you're from Wales. We tied. Interesting. The U.S. and the West. If Mixon is out, he is out. Yeah, he's already out. So who do you start? We're going to play Gibson or Benjamin? As in Eno? No. You're going to play Gibson, my man. You're going to play Gibson. Juju or Palmer in a full PPR? I'd probably play Palmer there. Garrett Wilson or Foreman? I'd play Foreman in a half PPR. Garrett Wilson in a full. Let's see here. What else we have? Logan Carmen says half PPR Evans, Najee, or Pirine. In a half PPR, I'm playing Najee Harris there. David says, how many days of Thanksgiving leftovers? I think we're done. I think the house has pretty much emptied itself out. Let's see here. Andrew, love the videos, man. Need some help this week. All right, Joseph, where's your question? Trade Murray and Wilson for Kamara and Cook. Murray and Jeff Wilson Jr. for Kamara and Cook. Yes, I'll take Kamara and Cook for the remainder. We had a question coming from Kyle Strobel. He says Stevenson, Higgins, or Amon-Ra St. Brown Russ season PPR pick 2. In terms of an objective number, I would pick Amon-Ra and I would pick Stevenson. Mainly because I do expect Chase to return. Hamburger or cheeseburger? Is that even an option? I don't think I've ever had a burger without cheese on it. I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't think I've ever had a burger without cheese on it. Is that normal? You guys not like cheese on your burgers? I like cheese in general. So, yeah. Rachaad White or Aaron Jones? I have Rachaad White one spot ahead of Aaron Jones this week. Lazard or Debo? I'd probably go with Debo this week under the assumption he's playing and healthy. Everett is the play over Moreau. Najee or Christian Watson in a full PPR. I'll take a Najee this week. If Cleveland game is horrible weather, pivot Amari Cooper to Pacheco or Foreman. I would probably pivot to Foreman in that regard. Garrett Wilson or Devonta Smith full PPR. Devonta Smith. Aaron Jones, James Conner, Rashad White, Keenan Allen. Pick 3 full PPR. Rashad White, Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones. Andrew, this is super random, but who should I... What? Andrew, this is a super random, but you should do a video about your life, day in the life. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. You guys may think I'm the most interesting person in the world. I can assure you, I'm just one of you guys. Trust me, I don't do anything special. I'm just another, human being. There's nothing special about me. I can assure you that. So trust me, you wouldn't care. It doesn't matter. Waddle or David, or maybe you care, but I just, it doesn't intrigue me enough to think. I'm generally a private person anyway. Waddle or Dameon Pierce? Yeah, it's going to be a Waddle play this week. Brandon Cooks, Campbell, Burks, or Palmer? Pick 2. We're going to go with Palmer and Campbell there in a full PPR this week. Etienne, David Montgomery, or Pierce this week? I'll play Etienne. Hey, Andrew, love the videos, man. Need some help. Half PPR, Olave or Watson? I like Watson more in a half PPR. In a full PPR, I would just go with Olave, but again, that's the difference maker of the scoring format. Jones, Kamara, Rashad White, and Jeff Wilson, pick 3. I'm playing Jones, I'm playing White, and I'm playing Jeff Wilson. I'm sitting Kamara, which is brutal, but it is what it is. Keenan Allen and Christian Kirk. Full PPR, in a full PPR, I'm probably still playing Christian Kirk, but Keenan Allen is just on his tail. Otherwise, half PPR standard, it's still Christian Kirk because of the overall upside. A day of Andrew 24-hour stream confirmed? Yeah, definitely not. If it was me streaming for 24 hours, I wouldn't talk for 20 of those hours. Because if I talk for 4 hours straight, which I've done before on stream, I will lose my voice. Straight, exactly. 100%. All we would see is Andrew editing. You know what, Gareth? You're not wrong. Okay, this is what I'll tell you, okay? When I record my running back video, guys, if the video finishes at 45 minutes of length, that video was a 55-minute video. So your boy has to go in there and cut away 10 minutes of that son of a gun, which probably takes me over just about 40 minutes itself to wash through the entire sucker. And then uploading that video, not even joking, a 45-minute video on YouTube takes an hour and a half to upload. Can you imagine that reality? How disgusting that is? That's why it takes me so long to get a video up. Because not even just recording. Recording is an hour. Editing's an hour. Upload's an hour and a half. And then I'm like, okay, well, there goes 3 hours. What are we doing? Got to work on the next video because otherwise we're kind of screwed. Andrew, did you pick winning teams last week? I didn't, Mario. You got to remind me tomorrow, man. You got to remind me. Dalton Schultz is a dude. Of course he is, guys. Of course. Listen, Dak Prescott set precedent last season in the idea that he loves to throw the ball to Dalton Schultz. We knew that was going to be the case going into this year, considering they didn't have anybody outside of Michael Gallup as a number 2 receiving option, and it has stayed as such. Tannehill, Mariota, or Heineke this week? I think I'm leaning towards Tannehill as we get closer to Sunday. Rodgers or Brady this week? Again, with the Brady weather concerns, I'll take Rodgers. Christian Watson or Brandon Ayuk? I'll take Brandon Ayuk this week. Hey, Andrew, Keenan Allen, Foster. Wait, I have Keenan Allen. Foster Moreau should be a pickup over Everett. No, I'd still play Everett this week. Pacheco or Pickens? Probably Pacheco's only viable in a standard format. Otherwise, Pickens takes the cake in the rest of the formats. Rashad White or Josh Jacobs? I'll take Rashad White. Don't edit? No, that's not a reality. Njoku or Kittle? Give me Kittle 1000%. Gus Edwards or Elijah Mitchell this week? I'll take Elijah Mitchell. You guys should, one of these days, I'll put together a blooper reel. That's what I'd rather do. Instead of showing you 24 hours of how much research I sit down and how much film I end up watching, I would much rather show you guys a blooper reel of all of the outtakes of my videos. The amount of times I'm just cursing myself out because I mispronounce a word or, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it is almost 3 o'clock. Like I mentioned before, guys, at 3 o'clock exactly, I'm out. I'm cueing the music. I'm out of here. I got to get out of the house. I do appreciate you guys, coming out, supporting the channel in this capacity. For those of you who sent in donations, thank you. For those of you who just showed up and just watched, sent in questions, and I wasn't able to answer, don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll have updated rankings on screen. Corrigan and Tommy, Boom, I'm answering these really quickly. Robert Woods or Hollins this week? I'll take Hollins, unless you believe in Phoenix yesterday, who said that Robert Woods is going for 2 touchdowns. I don't believe it. We're playing Hollins this week. Godwin, Evans, Aaron Jones, James Conner, pick 3. It's probably Aaron Jones, James Conner, and Evans this week in that capacity. I appreciate you guys. That's going to be it. Okay, you know what? Slim, you got lucky. If Justin Fields is out, Deshaun Watson or Tyler A for Monday Night. I don't even know what this is. Who's Tyler A? Tyler Algier? Deshaun Watson. I'm confused. Okay, anyway. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be here. Probably earlier than 8 a.m., but either way. Thank you guys. And until next time, which will be tomorrow, and then Monday, and then every subsequent day after that until the end of the season, I'll see you guys. Peace.